Northwestern used a hot start to roast Nebraska's Cornhuskers. 80-68 at Welsh Ryan Boo Buie with 22. Another college basketball action yesterday. Loyola beat George Mason. Bradley lost to Evansville. UIC beat the Redbirds of Illinois State. Valpo crushed by Indiana State 101-61. Now take note, that is 8 straight wins for the Sycamores. 21 wins on the season to lead the Valley. That school's best team since, you're right, some guy named Larry Bird took them to the national championship against Magic in Michigan State in 1979. The news is a service of InvisibleFence.com. Strong enough for a Mastiff, but gentle enough for a Chihuahua. Invisible Fence brand, more than a fence. Learn more at InvisibleFence.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Have you saved enough? What are you going to do with Social Security? What will your taxes look like in retirement? Scott Tucker believes retirement planning should be easy, and you should be able to get all the information you need in one place. That's why Scott created the Retirement Decoded Toolkit, a comprehensive resource for your retirement. In it, you'll find a copy of his latest book, Escape Illinois: Should I Stay or Should I Go? This book will provide insight on taxes, Social Security, income, and more. To get your free Retirement Decoded Toolkit, text KIT, K-I-T, to 847-474-3888, or go to retirementdecoded.com. Now, in addition to the book, you'll also receive resources on retirement's most common concerns. Get your Retirement Decoded Toolkit from Scott Tucker right now by texting KIT to 847-474-3888, or go to retirementdecoded.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. A registered investment advisor, this is a paid placement.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
It's 5:12. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Just a couple of trouble spots. Northwest side, Irving Park, between Albany and Sacramento, shut down while police handle a crash there that may have also involved a shooting near Irving Park and Whipple. Wilmette, 3rd Street shut down, but closed due to ongoing road work that starts today. A bunch of PACE buses are rerouted, 421, 422, and 423 buses. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast in our QC Kinetics Weather Center. Here's Steve Williams.
Breezy, cloudy day, mild and a passing shower for the afternoon. A rumble of thunder, too, high 56. Showers and breezy for tonight, low 44. Clouds and sun, breezy day tomorrow. High tomorrow at 56. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
48 at O'Hare, 48 Midway, 44 in Aurora. Clouds everywhere. Your next news update, 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
QC Kinetics patient Robert Patterson, a veteran and business owner, struggled at work and in the gym with chronic, agonizing shoulder pain.
Those injuries just continue to nag, and if you don't treat them, they just get worse. And I just kind of abused my body for a long time, and it finally had said enough is enough.
That's okay, because QC Kinetics tells your pain, hey, enough is enough. Their regenerative treatments bring you relief by helping restore and repair damaged tissue with no drugs, no downtime, and best of all, no surgery.
I was able to exceed the goals that I had previously attained in the gym. It was absolutely worth its weight in gold, so I could continue to live life without limitation.
Ready to get lasting relief from your joint pain? Call QC Kinetics to learn more about how natural biologic treatments can get you lasting results. Call now. It's a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Imagine what your future looks like. Is the picture a little blurry? Hey, it's Sean Thompson here for Alpha Wealth Group. When we look ahead, we're visualizing where we want to be, and for retirement, that can be hard without a written financial plan. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help you bring your retirement picture into focus. For decades, Tom has been crafting customized financial strategies. His goal is to help you protect your savings, grow your wealth, and create an income strategy you cannot outlive. If you're nearing or already in retirement, it's time to get your plan on paper. So bring your readers and let's take a look at it closely. Call Tom at 630-934-1855 and schedule a complimentary retirement consultation. There is no cost, there is no obligation. This is a chance to get a clearer view of your retirement. The number again is 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Would you like a new home or $450,000 for only $100? You heard correctly. Gaelic Park Charities is excited to announce its $650,000 home or cash raffle. Hello, this is John Quinn, the voice of Irish sports and special events at Chicago Gaelic Park. On the 24th of March 2024, we're raffling off a new construction, two-story, single-family home located in the heart of Chicago's Mount Greenwood neighborhood. This beautiful custom home has 4 bedrooms and 2.5 baths with all the modern touches. The neighborhood has excellent schools, parks and amenities, and if you're not in the market for a new home, the winner can opt for a $450,000 cash prize instead. The proceeds of each $100 ticket benefit Gaelic Park Charities, a registered 501c3 dedicated to promoting and preserving Irish heritage and culture in Chicagoland. Purchase your tickets at ChicagoGaelicParkHouseRaffle.com. That's Chicago Gaelic, Gaelic, parkhouseraffle.com.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. A storm is on the horizon. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for storms and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000, 630-834-6000, or charlesequipment.com.
This is Dennis Prager. Now you can listen to my show when it's convenient for you and without censorship from big tech. Become a member of the ultimate online community for all things Prager. It's Pragertopia Unlimited. Listen to every radio show over the last 10 years, all commercial free. You can even listen to all my Torah teachings for free. Join today and save 25% off the first year and get a free Pragertopia coffee mug. Go to Pragertopia.com or click the banner at DennisPrager.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning is former ABC7 political reporter and radio talk show host Charles Thomas. Charles, good morning.
Good morning, Dan. Good to be here to hear some answers.
So we try to give.
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson, you were in the journalism game, as I recall. Tucker Carlson is still taking heat as we're just T-minus, about 10 out, but my math, about 15 hours from the drop of his Putin interview?
Yeah, I think it's sooner than that. I thought it was
tonight, right?
Yeah, tonight. Well, tonight.
Yeah.
You can. I guess you can. I've been, looking at this Tucker Carlson network, to which I have not subscribed yet, but I will as soon as I get in front of my laptop at home today. He sold me, but I tell you, Dan, if I was a crier, I would be in tears or near tears about the state of the profession that I decided to pursue over 50 years ago. I can't believe the mainstream media's general reaction to what's going to happen tonight when this interview is published.
Meaning the characterization of Tucker Carlson as some sort of propagandist who is conducting a psyop on behalf of Putin, not a journalist. This interview shouldn't be happening. You mean that reaction?
Yeah, that reaction. I mean, I think that journalists all over this country should be celebrating the fact that one of our colleagues has scored an interview with one of the most powerful people on the planet. And I'm hearing journalists, CNN, MSNBC, preemptively calling Tucker Carlson a propagandist. They haven't even heard the interview yet, and already they're beginning to question whether or not an interview such as this should be done. Of course, it should be done. We've done it. Journalists have done it historically. We've tried to get both sides of the story. That is the essence of our profession. And
or even beyond that, when you're talking about a bad guy, the journalist that gets the interview with the dictator, pick your dictator, any dictator, because they've all more or less been interviewed. The idea is to give the viewer or the reader a better understanding of what's happening, of what the motivation is, of what the ploys are, to help size up exactly what the threat is, to inform sort of the public policy choices you would like to see made. I mean, that's part of it, right? Understanding the threat so you understand what the response should be.
Well, Dan, hopefully we're talking about the same thing, but to me, it's the whole of it. If you live in a democracy, we have to have the information. But, but just to digress a bit, I thought when Tucker Carlson left Fox News that he was fired, released, whatever. I thought at the time, and I'm not prescient, but I thought at the time that that was happening because of the Ukraine war and what he was saying and the voices that he was allowing to use his show on Fox, like people like Colonel Douglas McGregor,
right,
who he would have as a guest, and you can't question Douglas McGregor's authority as a military expert. What McGregor was saying about Ukraine and the history of it and why there was a war. This was stuff that the mainstream media didn't want to hear. They weren't going to give. They weren't going to allow to be said, and Tucker was doing it. And I thought at the time that's why Tucker was let go.
Let me ask you. Well, I mean, that certainly is a legitimate issue to raise. That certainly could have been part of the calculus. His biographer we've had on the show, Chadwick Moore, who wrote the Tucker biography that was released last year, said that it. And Tucker has never commented on this publicly, other than but he certainly hasn't disputed what Chadwick Moore said, which is that Tucker firing was contingent on a settlement of that Dominion lawsuit. In other words, Dominion not only wanted $700 million, Tucker Carlson had to be fired, which
Really?
I find astounding. I find if that's true, and I'm not saying it isn't, but if it is true, as we talked about at the time, I just find that just remarkable because it completely undermines Fox News as a news organization. That you could have somebody threaten you with litigation and that drives your personnel decisions. Yeah. So maybe that's part of the story.
It could
maybe
be
it's part of
the
change in leadership of Fox, and they tired of Tucker because of things like platforming the Douglas McGregors and people who disagree with the Beltway orthodoxy. Could be a combination of the two. But I just as an aside, it is interesting. But let me ask you this too. All the time that you spent in journalism, radio, TV, print, and it just strikes me. It's always struck me, but more so now than ever. And I don't want you to. I mean, I'm happy to have you name names, but I mean, most journalists, present company excluded, are just not that bright. They're just not that well read. They're just not that interested. In other words, being intellectually curious. They're interested in a byline. They're interested in their visage on TV. They're interested in making cash and having status. And so you're going to go along with the political establishment, and they don't think, and they don't challenge. They just fold in.
Right. Well, I think when you watch television, and I worked in television for most of my career, when you look at television, that's absolutely the case. The people who are reading the news to you, that's all they're doing. Basically, they're not calling people on the phone and going here, there, everywhere to get interviews and no, they're not doing that. They're reading a teleprompter, and believe me, that's not an easy job. You've got to do it every day. You got to be there every day. You got to keep yourself in shape. You've got to, but that's what they do. I mean, people like your Ron Majors, who I worked with at the near the end of my career. That's what he did. He read the teleprompter. He did not report. He read the teleprompter. That's what they do.
It's not that tough.
Yeah,
I mean, I you develop a little bit of a skill. I get it, but it's really not that tough.
No, it's not that tough. I mean, it's not what I did. What I did, I mean, I was every day, 24/7. I'm on the phone. People are calling me early in the morning, late at night. I mean, hey, you're going to do this? You want to do this story? I mean, I have to sift through all that information. And every day, I always try to tell people, every day, I only put on the air about 15% of what I found out.
Because you don't have the time.
Right. And plus, maybe the other 85% wasn't really relevant to the story I was doing that day. But I had the information. I had and I used it, and I became this well of information that most of which I never used, but I had it. I don't do that now because I'm not working every day now, so I don't have anywhere near as much information that I used to have. But I do have I do know how information is gathered, and I know who's doing the work. I had an example come up just recently where Sarah Schulte, a former colleague of mine, was doing a story on the day that there was some legal action filed to keep Donald Trump off the ballot in Illinois. And she did the story on ABC 7, and she did an interview with the lawyer who actually filed the action, who talked about why it was being filed and why Donald Trump should be kept off the ballot. Then she went to the University of Chicago and she interviewed a law professor, who basically sized up what the issue would be in court. Then she did a statement with the chairman of the Illinois Republican Party, a statement, and she read the statement as if she couldn't find one person in Illinois to say, I think this is BS, that I don't agree with this. I mean, not one person? She didn't call anybody? I mean, you? Me? any of the other people that John Anthony, anybody who might disagree with the whole notion of taking Donald Trump off the ballot?
Right.
Really? I mean, how do you not cover the other side of the story?
Well, this is why people get blindsided when Trump wins in 2016.
Well, yeah,
because they have no idea what what half of the population thinks, what's actually going on with them. And two words I always come back to when it comes to media, particularly television, because that's just sort of passively consumed by so many. Context and consequence. And the reason that people have fled to these alternate sites once the digital age arrived and it was so easy to build an alternative outlet is because of context and consequence. What the 10 o'clock news lacks is context and consequence. Context in terms of giving me a better understanding of the world, consequence and how does it impact my life. I'm sorry, but you've heard me say this before, the residential kitchen fire, the crack up on the Dan Ryan, cross-promotion for network programming, stale sports scores, and the 5-day forecast, that offers no better understanding of the world, that is not meaningful to me unless somebody I know was in that, had that residential fire happen to them or was in that car accident. And that's unlikely in a city, in a region of 8 million people. It's just, it's just tone deafness, and it is just inconsequential. It is, and this is why people don't watch appointment television and don't pay much mind to the news readers, except when they want their opinions reinforced. So they flock to CNN, MSNBC, Fox.
Well, the other thing, but see, what really concerns me is what's going on in the editorial meetings at these mainstream news outlets. What they're saying, the example I gave about the Trump thing, and whether or not someone should have reached out to you or me or someone who thinks he should be on the ballot. In the editorial meetings now, they are making the decision who is a right-wing extremist.
Oh yeah,
they're actually talking about, we can't interview him. He's a far right whatever. They're calling people names in these editorial meetings, or he's a racist, or he's anti-Semitic, or he's this. We can't interview. We can't give him voice. What? I mean, you're
right. I love it. I love it. I mean, we got to break for a second, but anytime, I'm almost forever described as like crypto conservative.
Oh my God!
Right? It's got to be something that is scary and it sounds like extreme and from a bygone era, antediluvian. I mean, it's like I just was chipped out of ice. This is just consistent, or it's failed gubernatorial candidate and crypto conservative. Extremist obviously is a favorite word, right? And the other side is a moderate. Their side, a moderate, a Democrat. Something very conventional, very reasonable, very within the parameters of fair play. But then there's these crypto conservatives. It's cartoonish.
These people they're in charge.
Oh, I know.
They're editors.
I know.
I can't believe it. I mean, you look at a guy like John Cass, the things they were saying about him when he left. I've known that guy 25 years. I know who he is.
But what they project, right? They are what they project, and so they're the slime merchants. They're the propagandists. That's just how it is. We'll take your calls on Tucker, because just to give you an example of just how unself-aware they are. Wait till you hear this exchange between Alex Wagner, who's a journalist in quotation marks for MSNBC, and one Hillary Clinton. We'll have that at 5:38. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
5:32 on AM 560. The Answer, 49 degrees this morning. The Supreme Court will consider whether former President Donald Trump is ineligible for his second term in office today. In Washington, Fox's Jared Halperin.
The 14th Amendment's insurrection clause has never faced a challenge like this, and how justices on the Supreme Court rule could have a wide-ranging impact on ballot access across the country. Justices agreed to fast-track this case after Colorado's Supreme Court ruled former President Trump committed insurrection on January 6, 2021, and is therefore constitutionally ineligible for the presidency. Maine Secretary of State reached a similar conclusion. Attorneys for the former president are urging the court to put these questions to rest, arguing the 14th Amendment does not apply here, and efforts to boot him off the ballot disenfranchises tens of millions of voters. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
A decision is expected before the Super Tuesday primaries next month. We're watching this morning a volcano in southwestern Iceland erupting for the third time since December, sending jets of lava into the sky and tumbling toward areas like one of that island nation's biggest tourist attractions. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has left the Middle East with public divisions between the U.S. and Israel at perhaps their worst level since Israel's war against Hamas terrorists in Gaza began in October.
We have been intensely focused from day one on getting the hostages, all the hostages, back with their families where they belong.
Blinken returning to Washington after saying that and getting a virtual slap in the face from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, saying the war would continue until Israel is completely victorious, and appeared to reject outright a response from Hamas to a ceasefire proposal. Search and rescue operations underway to find 5 missing Marines after the downed helicopter was found in California near San Diego. Trader Joe's recalling 4 products for potential listeria contamination, all made with cotija cheese. Products are their chicken enchiladas verde, cilantro salad dressing, elote chopped salad kit, and the Southwest salad. The last original member of the Spinners has died. Henry Fambrough was a baritone in that legendary R&B group, which actually began in Detroit in 1954. However, they really did not have any commercial success until they signed with Atlantic Records in the 1970s and had a string of hits, including I'll Be Around and Could It Be I'm Falling in Love. In other news, we're following this morning a Cook County judge ruling Wednesday that a case seeking to bar former President Donald Trump from the March 19 Republican primary ballot will move forward independently of a Supreme Court case. As the network outage at Lurie Children's Hospital reaches day 8, hospital officials say they're working round the clock with internal and external experts as well as the FBI to try and resolve the issue. And more than 30 protesters are facing charges for blocking traffic in Niles. A group of pro-Palestinian, anti-Jewish demonstrators gathered yesterday in the 6300 block of West Howard. Wild over the Blackhawks 2-1 at the UC. Bulls visiting Memphis tonight with less than 24 hours to go before the NBA trade deadline. Northwestern back in the win column in the Big Ten, beating Nebraska 80-68. The news is a service of Fox Valley Coins. No waiting, no problem. No charge for in-store verbal appraisals. Bring your gold and silver in today. FoxValleyCoins.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Sean Thompson Show.
The Joe Biden administration is truly the administration for the rats, the thieves, the cartel members, the gangbangers. They're having the time of their life, and they're making more money than ever before. When a politician, salesman, or a gypsy of any kind tells you, I'll be honest with you, that's when you know they're lying. When one of these Ukrainian overlords in a $6,000 suit tells you we don't steal the money, it's pretty much a confession of him stealing the money.
The Sean Thompson Show, weekday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
In the midst of finishing up a so-so 2023, Bob wondered where the sales were. He lost 2 long-term clients, and his back-end operations were slowing down production. His family business had always been successful, but now their outdated processes were holding back the growth. Bob knew he needed to embrace technology and upgrade their systems. He never thought he'd be stuck in the Stone Age. That's when he discovered Turnkey, who helped bring his business current. Now, Bob has a new e-commerce capability, a cutting-edge marketing plan, and a real growth strategy. With Turnkey's help, he's developed a new vision for what's possible, a plan for the future, and a small business partner to help him get things done.
If you need a partner to help you with a fresh perspective for 2024, or if you feel like you're falling behind, Turnkey believes that every business has the opportunity to stay current and competitive. Turnkey is here to provide you with the solutions, guidance, and support that you need to conquer your business and IT challenges. Start a conversation today. Visit turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you. You've watched the news. Rising crime has been affecting our everyday lives in Illinois more and more these days. Blue Star Security can protect you, your business, or your place of worship. Blue Star Security is the only security company in Chicago with over 900 off-duty police officers, all W-2 employees.
I'm Jeffrey Salvetti, Vice President of Blue Star Security and a 15-year law enforcement veteran. The Blue Star team is made up of over 900 state-certified active and retired law enforcement professionals. We serve businesses and private organizations with supply chain and special event security, and also protect our loved ones at places of worship and schools all across the Chicagoland area. Blue Star Security's technology allows mobilization of off-duty officers quickly and efficiently. Our primary mission is to provide unparalleled protective services for each assignment with integrity while maintaining our commitment to community service in the Chicagoland area.
Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at bluestarsecurityllc.com. That's bluestarsecurityllc.com.
Hi, this is Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, with my current want list for upcoming auctions. Guns and military items are always at the top of my list, but I have buyers for vintage automobiles and motorcycles, old gas pumps and automotive signs. Do you have pinball machines and coin-operated games like slot machines, jukeboxes? How about Coke machines and soda machines? Also, neon signs, antique phonographs and music boxes, old toys, especially science fiction and Star Wars. Cowboy and Native American collections like barbershop, ice cream parlor, and saloon items. We'll take one item or an entire collection. We sell it all. Call me before you sell your items outright because you could be leaving a fortune on the table. And you won't know until you call me at 815-923-7000 or send me an email at donnellyauctions.com. My job is to get you top dollar for your collections, so call me at 815-923-7000. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
It's 540 on AM 560, The Answer. Let's get an update on the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And this update on the roads, a service of Crosscom Public Adjusters. If your home or business has an insurance claim, Crosscom will help you get what you need and have coming to you. Crosscom, publicadjusters.com. We're watching the northwest side of Chicago. Irving Park between Albany and Sacramento remains closed while police handle a crash that also may be tied to a deadly shooting nearby. Jane Addams accident on I-90 eastbound just after Barrington Road. A left lane is blocked there. And on the Stevenson inbound, there's an accident on the off-ramp to the Dan Ryan Expressway this morning, causing some big delays. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy with an afternoon shower possible, especially around 2 or 3 p.m. High 56 today. Cloudy and 49 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning is former ABC 7 political reporter Charles Thomas, and we were talking about journalism, given the hue and cry over the Tucker Carlson, Vlad Putin interview that drops tonight. And just the sort of talking about the state of journalism. So the main criticism, it seems to me, about Tucker's, and by the way, one other thing too, questions that you hope Tucker asks, or asked, I assume this was taped, asked Vlad Putin 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. But again, the hue and cry is mainly the idea that Tucker Carlson is some Kremlin stooge and he's just serving to platform Putin and help him serve up his communist propaganda. And my response to that, as we discussed yesterday with John Cass, is, well, if he does that, then he is going to greatly diminish his reputation. And for all the critics of Tucker Carlson, isn't that what you want him to do, diminish his reputation? So what are you afraid of?
They're afraid of the truth, Dan.
Well,
and
okay, Colonel Jessup. Yeah,
they're afraid of being exposed for what they are, and they're corrupt. They have been corrupted, and there's no leadership in journalism, mainstream media. But thanks to people like Tucker Carlson and all those other YouTube people, journalism is just taking a new face. They want to be what alternative media is becoming, which is the truth. You can find the truth in alternative media. You find a lot of so-called misinformation there. I get it.
Sure,
I get it.
Of course.
But there is also truth there that does not exist at mainstream media.
It was interesting, this exchange yesterday in the press briefing at the White House by Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House spokeswoman, asked about this, and remember the 4-minute tease that Tucker posted that we played yesterday and talked about, included the assertion that the Biden administration tried to block Tucker Carlson from interviewing Putin. So KJP was asked about this. Listen to her answer.
Carlson contended in his preview video that the Biden administration has opposed and even attempted to hinder his attempts to interview Putin. Do you have...
Wait, say that last part again?
He said that the Biden administration has allegedly attempted to prevent him from interviewing Vladimir Putin. Do you have a comment on either the interview or that allegation?
Absolutely not.
For the board.
Absolutely not a comment, or absolutely not that didn't happen?
Absolutely not a comment, to be more clear, period.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
I have no comment on the allegation that the Biden administration, our administration, tried to block Tucker Carlson from interviewing Putin. Why wouldn't you say? Oh, why? Why wouldn't you have any comment? Why wouldn't you just say, no, we didn't do anything like that. We don't care who Tucker Carlson interviews. If he wants to interview Vlad Putin, then he can interview Vlad Putin. If he can set it up, whatever. That's beyond our kin. We're not interested in worrying about or providing oversight on who Tucker Carlson or any other journalist interviews or doesn't interview. That's not our purview. Why would you say that?
Maybe she told the truth.
Maybe she did.
She probably did.
That'd be rare. Well, she didn't really tell anything. She just said no comment on whether or not we did that. That's not really telling you the truth. It's maybe it's insinuating what the truth is.
Yeah.
But isn't that bizarre?
Oh, beyond bizarre. But at the same time, maybe they did, and she didn't want to comment.
Yeah,
on that.
She didn't want to say yes because we're in the business of trying to manipulate the media. Don't you remember the Twitter files? Yeah, I know she's not going to be that forthright. But yeah, I just thought that no comment on the allegation. No, we didn't do it. No comment on we did. No, I'm just not going to comment on whether we did or didn't do it. Where's and it's funny too because there are other moments, where you get the lagniappe of tributes to the First Amendment. We believe strongly in the free press, and that's a bedrock of a free society, and journalism, and this and that. You get the hi-hat about they're the real vanguard for our First Amendment protections, and then here, which basically is part of the conversation, was the government involved in trying to stop a guy with a show from interviewing the Russian dictator? Oh, we're not going to comment on that. Okay. All right. I got it. Tom in Deer Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Thanks for taking my call. Tucker Carlson is not a journalist. He's infotainment, and he's also either a tool or a fool. But you know who is a journalist? Evan Gershkovich and you know who he is, the Wall Street Journal reporter, one of 20,000 arrested and imprisoned people in Russia. 20,000 people arrested and imprisoned for protesting the war. So you guys talking up Tucker Carlson, I'll forward you Moni Sharon's piece from the Bulwark yesterday. It explains everything. But this is nothing new. He's been at this and only getting worse. Shame on you guys. I love you.
Shame on us for saying Tucker Carlson should be if Tucker Carlson can interview Putin or whatever, and you judge him, and people can make their own judgments about the quality of the interview and whether he served as a Kremlin stooge or it was illuminating. Shame on us for. That's the mentality. And Tom from Deer Park is a good. He's a never Trumper. You can tell when he references the Bulwark. You can also tell by the complete logical oxymoronic riff you just heard.
Yeah.
So I understand. So not once ever have I suggested that Putin is anything other than a murderous KGB dictator. Never said he's a good guy. The point here is, and it's not even worth talking to Tom because he's just stuck in this loop. He's stuck on stupid, to borrow from General Honoré in the Katrina days. I'm sorry. Was Bashar al-Assad a good guy when he was interviewed by who was it? Who interviewed? Not Mike Wallace. Mike Wallace interviewed Hussein, right? Well, regardless, Western media. When Western media interviews Bashar al-Assad about the allegations that were accurate that he gassed tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of his own people. The interviewing of President Xi, and when the media doesn't and corporate leader doesn't question President Xi about the persecution of his own people, particularly, for example, the Uyghur Muslim population. But Tucker Carlson specifically is not allowed to interview Vlad Putin specifically. Everything else is fair game. Babs with Fidel, Barbara Wawa, all these other journalists over all these years, that's all good journalism. That's great. Then that's, as you said before, Charles, we should celebrate that these journalists are intrepid. They're getting an audience with these dictators. We need a better understanding. 60 Minutes interviewing, the Iranian lunatic president at the time, Ahmadinejad. All of these people. Everything is fair game. Everything is wonderful. That's the beauty of the First Amendment. We need this information, except there's one exception. Tom from Deer Park, one exception. Tucker Carlson and Vlad Putin. Those two shall never meet. It's so insane. By the way, I hope Tucker did ask about Evan Gershkovich, and we talked about on this show. Shame on us. We talked about the show when we talked to Dan Henninger from the Wall Street Journal, which we do semi-routinely. We always check in. What do they know about Gershkovich? There's no one offering apologies for that murderous KGB dictator in Russia, and no one cheering him on. But if you like Tucker, or if you oppose blank checks to Ukraine, then you're a Kremlin stooge. And that's the depth of the thinking of never Trumpers like Tom from Deer Park, and who basically is a collaborator with MSNBC and CNN, ironically, because they're promulgating the same line of propaganda. It's just stunning. This is the level of political discourse in this country, which is why I'm glad I have a radio show, because it's cathartic for me to get all this poison out so I don't explode.
And it's a fairly recent phenomenon. This is something that's really developed over the last 8 to 10 years, certainly since 2016, where we have journalists canceling other journalists. It's frightening. It's frightening because that is the first step toward real dictatorship, real loss of freedom. It's happening right in front of us.
Right. When what you essentially have, as we've talked about before, the fourth estate folding in with the state.
Yep.
Rather than serving as a check. They're serving as the comm shop. That doesn't concern anybody. Tucker Carlson interviewing Vlad Putin. Oh, my God. Stop the presses. Literally. Mike in Wisconsin, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan, Charles.
Good morning.
Thanks for taking my call. Charles, what you just said is remarkable, 100% true. But journalism in America died in the early 60s. There was and you can look it up, there was a lady, 26-year-old lady, her name was Catherine Genovese. She went by Kitty. And she was abducted, raped, and murdered on a sidewalk in Queens.
And nobody came to help. When she screamed and nobody came to help. Right. And? Okay.
And so somebody once said, don't let the story, your coverage of the story become the story. So somebody commissioned one of these crazy left-wing colleges, universities, to look at this incident and, try to explain why nobody helped. And their conclusion was nobody helped because she didn't specifically ask a person to help her. You with the plaid shirt, you with the white ball cap, you with the red shoes. Why? So, it's a twofold dilemma here. We're blaming the victim, and we're ending journalism how it should be. And later on, journalism was relegated to late night talk shows. And if you query Jim Garrison, who was a prosecutor in Louisiana, and we remember the Oliver Stone film JFK. Well, Garrison was interviewed by Johnny Carson.
Well,
I got news for you. Late night TV ain't journalism.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Well, but you can. There's if you're getting to the point of sort of celebritizing journalism, then I agree with you because it can create some moral hazards. But you can be on a serious talk show, do a serious interview with a serious outlet, and also be on a less serious talk show. I don't think we should worry about these sort of artificial lines of demarcation. I think we should think more globally about sort of first principles when it comes to a free press, when it comes to all of our First Amendment protections, restraints on government, if you will. So I don't know that the Genovese story marks the end of journalism. And again, as much as we spent over the last 8 years, as you were sort of intimating, Charles, talking about partisan politics, the Get Trump, which has been the dominant mission of the D.C. press corps for the last 8 years. To me, those two words I mentioned before, context and consequence, what so many of the stories emanating from these legacy corporate outlets lack, as much the story about the end of those legacy corporate media outlets being the gatekeepers of information, much less truth, as is partisanship or shared ideology. Mary Kay, Western Springs.
Hey, Dan, thanks for taking the call. I'm going to go back on my original comment. Yeah, Obama had a beer, sit down, and had a beer with who? Who did he sit down with and act like he was being?
He organized that beer summit between the Harvard professor and the cop, right?
Yeah,
is that the one you're referring to?
Yes, and it seemed silly to me, and somebody did that. But what I get so mad about is these young people who are. When we were kids, we had the newspaper, so we read John Cass every day. We had information that we trusted, and there was a lot of it, and we made decisions based on what we read. There's so much to delve into on the internet. There's so much to sift through and I listen to many, many podcasts, all the people out there trying to understand what in the world is going on, why these people think the way they do. I try to understand the Democrats. I really, really do, but nothing they say makes sense to me. It just doesn't make sense. So I'm looking for serious journalism. I trust Tucker Carlson more than I trust Jean-Pierre, the whatever you call her, the press secretary. I mean, I just don't trust her, not because of what she is and what she does. It's what I've heard her say and then what I've gone and researched for myself and found out.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Thanks for the call, Mary Kate. Well, that's sort of the point. What this instinct that's also crept up, I don't know, it seems to me it's more prevalent. It's always there. It's part of the human condition, but it's more prevalent today than ever. And Tom from Deer Park's a good example of this pathology. If I don't like you, or if I disagree with you, you should be silenced. But I'm a patriot and a proponent of a free society. No, you're not.
Also there's you remember Biden last summer saying Putin has already lost the war. Remember that?
Yeah.
So
sure.
What I'm saying is that there's a lot of lying going on by officialdom, official Washington, about this war, and perhaps we'll get, by hearing what Putin has to say about it, we'll get a better feel for who's lying. I mean,
yeah, right. And there again, our founders in their infinite wisdom, among the first freedoms enshrined in the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights is a free press. They understood that, they understood that the Lord Acton aphorism that absolute power corrupts absolutely. Let's have a check. And the greatest check you can have on a government, on the state, and in a free society is a free press, free information flow. Right. Because the state has a tendency to serve its interests, not the interests of its constituents. What an insight. It seems that a lot of people have forgotten that. Coming up at 6:06, we'll switch gears. Josh McBroom, Naperville City Councilman, feels some heat from residents. That's 6:06. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
A man killed in the Irving Park neighborhood. Details coming. WIND Chicago News Time. 6 o'clock.
The U.S. gets revenge. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. An airstrike has killed a militia commander leading the group blamed for the attack on a U.S. base in Jordan that killed 3 American soldiers. Republican Congressman Michael Waltz tells Fox.
Well, I'm glad to see the strike happen. I wish this strike had happened some time ago, somewhere in between the dozens and dozens of attacks on our forces.
Now, he and other Republicans want the U.S. to target Russian, or rather Iranian military leaders, not just their proxies. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has left the Middle East with no plan in place to end the war in Gaza.
That ceasefire proposal that was put forward by Hamas was quickly rejected by the Israelis, who called the plan, quote, delusional, amid renewed rocket fire just last hour from the Gaza Strip and Israeli airstrikes still taking place along the enclave.
That's Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. Today, the Supreme Court takes up a big Trump case. Colorado is trying to remove the former president from the 2024 primary ballot, claiming that he violated an insurrection provision of the Constitution by leading and inciting the Capitol riot. Now, Trump lawyers say he is the leading Republican presidential candidate, and the court should not decide who should be on the 2024 ballot. Now, the former president is poised to win the Nevada Republican caucuses today. Nikki Haley is not taking part, calling it rigged. She chose to be in Tuesday's primary that didn't count, and she lost to a none-of-the-above option.
Our focus is on South Carolina, going into Michigan, going into Super Tuesday. Those are the places that we're worried about.
Now, Marianne Williamson has dropped out of the Democratic race after President Biden's big wins in South Carolina and Nevada. 6 people are unaccounted for in East Lansdowne, Pennsylvania, outside Philadelphia, in a house gutted by a fire believed to be set after a shootout with police that injured 2 officers. It's feared the bodies could be inside that house. America's listening to Fox News.
48 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. This morning in the Irving Park neighborhood on the north side, a man has died after a shooting and crash. Chicago police tell us the 21-year-old victim was driving around 3:40 this morning when investigators say someone in a white Jeep opened fire, hitting the victim in the back of the head. Cook County judge ruled Wednesday that a case seeking to bar former President Donald Trump from the March 19 Republican primary ballot in Illinois will move forward, independently of a similar case pending before the U.S. Supreme Court. As the network outage at Lurie Children's Hospital reaches its 8th day, hospital officials say they're working around the clock with internal and external experts, as well as the FBI, to try and resolve the cybersecurity matter. Orland Park Mayor Keith Pekow drawing some criticism from a few members of the community for comments made amid a recent council meeting discussing the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict.
What side of history does Orland Park want to stand on? Our community is hurting. We have members of this community that have lost friends and family members.
Tensions hit a boiling point Monday during a city council meeting after a few in the gallery urged the city to follow the city of Chicago in adopting a Gaza ceasefire resolution. Pekow responded with a firm no to any resolution.
First and foremost, I'm an American. I'm not a German American. I'm an American. That's where my allegiances lie. Period, dot, end of story. And if you're an American citizen and you don't feel that way, in my opinion, you're entitled to that opinion, but you can certainly go and go to another country and support that country.
Pekow says there will be no resolution coming from his office or the council anytime soon. Nurses at Ascension St. Joseph Hospital in Joliet are walking off the job this morning after giving strike notice back on January 29. Nurses say they're protesting Ascension's decision to implement its so-called last best final contract offer. Wild take down the Blackhawks 2-1 at the UC. Bulls visiting Memphis tonight at the FedEx Forum as the clock winds down before the NBA trade deadline. And Northwestern, a win over Nebraska in Big Ten hoops, 80-68. The news, a service of Dan and Amy 24/7, around the clock all day, every day. Listen now. danandamy247.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk doesn't see work from the RNC.
The RNC and the regime, they're lazy and complacent. They don't want to be excellent. They don't want to flourish. They don't want to be great. And that culture is all throughout the RNC. They just are kind of okay with being mediocre. They're not trying to be the best version of themselves. They're not hustling. There's a lot of people that just want to work in politics.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, to social engineering and leftist corporations, do they make you feel like we're kind of living in the Twilight Zone? Well, you're not alone. Now, our friends at Pure Talk, my wireless company, they know the silent majority is fed up, and I'm calling on all of those Americans, stand with a company that champions your values. The average family is saving almost $1,000 a year. Dial pound 250, say the keyword save now. Do it now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month from our friends at Pure Talk.
Over $6 billion in tax refunds were flagged by the IRS for possible identity theft in 2023. If you're in a bind this tax season, LifeLock can help. Their U.S.-based restoration specialists are dedicated to helping solve identity theft issues, and all plans are backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, which means if you lose money because of identity theft, LifeLock will reimburse you to the limits of your plan. Go to LifeLock.com and save up to 25% your first year with promo code CLAY.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Looking for top-notch personal protection? The Smith & Wesson Equalizer is here to level the playing field. Easy to rack slide, easy to control ergonomic grip. It's designed for you. With a 10, 13, and 15-round magazine included, size up for better control or size down for easier concealment. Don't miss out on the opportunity to upgrade your safety. Visit your local dealer now. To learn more about the Equalizer, visit smith-wesson.com. Smith & Wesson, empowering Americans. All capacity sizes may not be available in your jurisdiction. Be sure to check your local laws and regulations.
You are a creator. You've been inspired to design and craft incredible works of art. But nothing derails you like not having the right materials you need to get the project done. K&S Precision Metals prides itself on having the right metal pieces for you to be a maker. With a huge array of metal products for every part of your project, from beginning design to the finished product, K&S Precision Metals provides brass, aluminum, copper, stainless steel tubing, wire, and more. K&S Precision Metals only supplies the highest quality metal items. Each piece is pure metal with no lead or fillers. You can feel good that your project is made with metal manufactured right here in the USA. K&S Precision Metals are used by the medical and movie industries, artists, crafters, engineers, and educators. Family owned and operated in Chicago for over 76 years. Most orders are shipped within a day. Order direct at ksmetals.com. That's ksmetals.com. K&S Precision Metals. Our materials, your creations.
6:08 on AM 560. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. We will start on the Stevenson where you are jammed up. Inbound Cicero to Kedzie, 25 minutes into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Bishop Ford, stop and go on the as you jam into the south end of the Ryan. You're backed up to 103rd. Jane Addams, accident cleared eastbound on I-90 just after Barrington Road. We want to remind you that on the northwest side, as we told you in our newscast, due to a shooting that's being investigating, Irving Park Road between Albany and Sacramento remains shut down. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, clouds, breezy and mild, a passing shower, and the high today 56. For tonight, clouds and showers, breezy, a rumble of thunder, low 44. Clouds and sun, breezy day tomorrow, high tomorrow at 56. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
48 degrees at O'Hare. Your next news update is 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, I should say, is Charles Thomas, former ABC7 political reporter. Charles.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Naperville, the best community in America, or most livable, or I don't know, something. Always being touted as this, wonderful cosmopolitan yet suburban community. And it was when I was growing up in Wheaton. Naperville's fun. So was Wheaton.
Naperville's not fun anymore?
And the Western Burbs. No. You know why? Because it's been infested with sentimental barbarians. And it just puts a damper on things, I find.
Wait. Sentimental barbarians.
Yes.
Okay. You got to help me.
But people that, the shorthand of it is people that do not think they feel. And everything is about their feelings. They're a self-indulgent type of person. They're a scold. They're largely these shrews or awfuls, angry white leftist females, and these male impersonators that they're married to. They elect people like Janet Yang Rohr and Anastasia Murray, who are dyed-in-the-wool Reds. Throw in State Senator Laura Ellman, too. It's these are the people that have the "Hate Has No Home Here" signs in the yards. These are the people that wear the "No Person Is Illegal" T-shirts. They're forever telling you to put your mask on, get your jab, stand in your idiot circle, repeat these lines. They're a goon squad that masquerades as the repository of compassion. And that was on display at the city council meeting the other night in Naperville. This was the first opportunity Naperville residents had to respond to the proposal that City Councilman Josh McBroom made to put up a sign-up list for Naperville residents who wanted to take migrant families into their homes. Now, this was sometimes misinterpreted by some, but knowing Josh, and we had him on the show to discuss this as well, I knew what he was doing. He was sort of gently calling out these sentimental barbarians, these open borders leftists that dominate Naperville and the western suburbs now because of, I don't know, conservatives' general lack of convictions and work ethic and the Republican Party's capitulation to the left. But that's another tangent. That it was challenging them to live their values. Hey, here it is. Don't be coming to us saying we should apply for taxpayer money through the Governor Jelly Belly's grant program to take in migrants. Don't be coming to us saying we should do this and we should do that at a municipal governmental level. Do it yourself. Let's put up a sign-up list. Let's display our welcoming community. All those people who talk about it and put signs in their yards, now live it.
It's sort of a low-budget Ron DeSantis sending migrants to Martha's Vineyard kind of situation, but low budget and local.
Yeah, exactly. And so, man, there's some really good ones. I was just howling listening to these Naperville residents at the council meeting chiding Josh McBroom. Some had the courage to call him out by name. Many did not. You got to listen to some of this stuff, some of these residents. And let's call them by name. They may not have the courage to call Josh McBroom by his name, but I have the courage to call them by their name. And I hope that people who know them are listening. And I hope that people who know them and are listening tell them to engage, challenge them, rather than letting them just wag their fingers for their 3 minutes at a city council meeting and then continue their rapacious thuggery in your neighborhood. Oh, no, I know, but Naperville has the Riverwalk. No, I know, Naperville Central, Naperville North are these great schools. Not really. Not really. There are very few great schools in the suburbs anymore, by the way. I'm not just picking on Naperville. You've heard me talk about that. Gosh, we've talked about that for years, for goodness sakes. But it's all a facade. But these people are walking facades. And you just listen to them. Like Mina Banasiak. I may be mispronouncing her name, but my best effort.
So as it relates to the migrant housing crisis, it has been astonishing to hear a council member declare with baseless conviction that Naperville residents are hypocrites about supporting people in need because they didn't sign a non-existent form. How embarrassing for our city to watch this council member spend week after week on news and social media perpetuating prejudice against the very people they're supposed to be serving. Instead of making an earnest effort to find common ground among differing perspectives, he contrived a disingenuous proposal that needlessly burdened city staff, insulted our residents, and diverted attention from solving the actual problem to ridiculing people who want a real solution. If you hadn't seen the overtly offensive and xenophobic sample form this council member chose to circulate, a few excerpts are on the screen. This council member repeatedly described their sign-up suggestion on public media as sincere. No, a sincere suggestion would have been to invite us to sign up for a roundtable to discuss what's possible through city, private, or nonprofit channels. There are so many ways to honor your own position on this or any topic and respectfully incorporate differing opinions.
Respectfully incorporate differing opinions, like calling somebody xenophobic, right? Yeah, look, what you should have done is have a sign-up list for a meeting where we could talk about how enlightened we are. Not a sign-up list to do anything. A sign-up list to offload it to somebody else. Because that's what it means to be a welcoming city. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Man, these Naperville residents. By the way, the audience is full, and it's all one-sided, because where are the conservatives? I don't know. forgetting the conservative, where people that have common sense. I guess they have enough sense to not go to Naperville City Council meetings, but the entire audience is, not the entire audience, most of the audience, from what you can see watching the City Council meeting on online, and then seeing people in the background as one resident after the other gets up to speak and have their 3 minutes. Signs that were passed out: Naper strong, hate has no home here. They're all sitting in the seat, the seats in the audience with their little signs on their laps. What does that mean? So if you disagree with the position that these open borders folks have, like Mina, that you just heard, you're a hate monger.
Hate mongers.
But hey, how dare you ridicule us? We're trying to forge common ground. Let's get a roundtable discussion going. How dare you, xenophobic, racist, bigoted hate mongers, how dare you ridicule us, you see? Don't you appreciate our goodness? Don't you appreciate the leadership that we're providing? The example of civil discourse? They're just so precious. Meet Donna Sack.
We can all agree that the current situation at the border needs fixing. This is a complicated situation,
Is it?
Decades in the making, needing federal bipartisan legislation. But in this moment, we are faced with thousands and thousands of people in our metropolitan area seeking asylum. I am heartened by the efforts of Napervillians that I know are supporting the migrant community. This story needs to be told too. How do we want to be remembered? In words paraphrased from a great colleague of mine, we all need to ask, what kind of ancestor will I be? Thank you.
If you're not for open borders, if you're not for sanctuary state status, then, you're a embarrassment to your people. And that's how you'll be remembered. Common ground, Charles. They're trying to find common ground, don't you know?
Common ground, but not in my crib. We got, whoa. I didn't say all that. No.
Listen, so the eunuchs that I'm talking about, the men of Naperville.
You mean the betas?
Well, beta is too generous, frankly. Let me give you an example. And somebody probably knows this guy. He sounds really earnest, and I'm sure he means well. But just listen to this, the mentality. It really is pathological. There's just a lack of self-awareness. Are you even listening to what you're saying and the implications? I was a thought that was running through my head as I'm listening to Tony Andrews, who's a proud, longtime Naperville resident. He's done the training to take in migrants, so he's serious about it, but he realized something.
The thousands of asylum seekers who have found themselves involuntarily in Chicagoland. Even though there is no City of Naperville sign-up sheet, there are plenty of ways for us all to help. I have personally applied to receive the formal training offered by one local humanitarian organization to aid a refugee family with emergency short-term housing. But I've recognized that housing an individual or a family in a suburban household is not ideal for the asylum seeker, as it is more effective to serve them in large groups, typically housed with others of the same country of origin, religion,
in the hood,
language, by a humanitarian organization that is equipped, informed, trained to serve them with direct services close to their offices, with a full legal team to best serve them.
How about it? You see, look, I was going to have some migrant families stay with me, but then I realized I don't have a full legal team. I don't know Have you ever had guests at your home? I don't know how to serve these people. I don't know how to help other human beings. I can't do that myself. You need wraparound services. This is what nonprofits are for, and the site needs to be close to the office. And I don't know. Let's put up fences and just a yard. Let's put them in an old Walgreens in Little Village. Let's put them in an old grocery store on the south side. You can't do it in a home setting. You can't have other people who are different from you in your home because you don't have a legal team there to help them with their asylum applications or whatever the hell he's talking about.
All that stuff in the South Shore, man. That's where they moved 500 migrants are living right now in South Shore, the hood, if you will. They call it Terror Town. That's where they're moving them. That's fine over there.
No, we need like a public housing project. Yeah. They need to be warehoused in group settings. They can't, that's the neighborly thing to do, not opening your home and saying, I'm going to provide shelter for this family and we'll get on and figure it out. I mean, it's just too complicated. It's too complicated to have guests in your home. What do you do when the in-laws come into town? Do you also rely on a nonprofit in that situation? Because these are this is being your brother's keeper, Tony. What is complicated about this? This is what I'm talking about. It sounds good. I'm sure everybody who knows Tony Andrews in Naperville thinks he's a wonderful guy who's got a good heart, and yet he is a promoter of barbarism. Because just like all these other ghastly people that are so enthralled with their own moral rectitude, that consequences don't matter. Bask in my feelings. Bask in my empathy. What it produces doesn't matter. This is why Flannery O'Connor famously described that sentimentality leads to the gas chamber.
Have you heard that anyone has taken up a migrant family in Naperville?
No, it's the whole thing. Oh, there was no list. Make your own list. Oh, they tabled that. You need a city council to put up a sign-up sheet? And you're out there talking about, I'm working with this nonprofit and I'm taking this training. Make your own list. Circulate your own list. All you people in that audience at that city council meeting. What do you need Josh McBroom to set up or the city council, the city government, set up a list for you if you were so interested? But you're not. Thus the hypocrisy. Lynn Gessler. She's a peach.
This started what has become an endless political stunt that continues to smear the city and its residents. The councilman took photographs of residents' yards without permission and uses them as props on his national media tour. During those interviews, he says nobody signed up, but does not disclose there was no sign up, nor mention that he pulled the proposal. He says the firestorm was worth it. Faux outrage over issues and empty solutions that don't actually benefit the city are directly from the Awake Illinois Playbook, an organization the councilman founded. Is fomenting division and mocking a majority of the community instead of focusing on city business the role of a nonpartisan city council member?
Yeah, right. And the patina of nonpartisanship. Right. These are nonpartisan, civic-minded individuals. They don't have any political agenda. They're post-partisan, Charles. And then they're dragged into the gutter of partisan politics by Josh McBroom because he suggested a sign-up sheet. You say, oh, isn't it tragic? It's terrible. Now you're shaming Naperville, which is a welcoming community. Don't you people understand? We're a welcoming community. We're good with the migrants.
It's rife with hypocrisy.
Oh,
all over. I mean, all over the way the libs are reacting to this. You know, I saw that story on Channel 7 last week before last, about the city now spending money to ship migrants out of Chicago. You remember that?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing what Greg Abbott has been doing for the past year and a half. They're doing it.
Yeah, but Greg Abbott is a xenophobe, and Brandon Johnson presides over a welcoming community.
Right.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yep. Brian, St. John, Indiana.
What's up, man? It sounds like that beta male is saying, let's build ghettos and have the government serve the people. So it sounds pretty like they're over the target of government dependence. P.S. I will be going to the Pancake Cafe this Saturday afternoon for lunch with my kids.
Very good. Yeah, don't forget about the Pancake Cafe on 75th Street in Naperville, because the people that you hear talking at this meeting are the ones, the type, the profile, maybe not every individual, that announced a boycott of the Pancake Cafe because Josh McBroom's teenage son works there.
Get out of here.
Not kidding.
Oh, man.
This is sentimental barbarism. This is what I'm talking about. And then in the next turn, they're going to talk about our community. You're tearing at the fabric of our community. We're a welcoming community, civil discourse, enlightened discussion, being a solutionist. Oh, sure. Right. This is high dudgeon, except this is real. I mean, this is not intended as parody. Although these people are completely unserious and risible, of course. Matt, Southside.
Good morning, dear. Good morning, Charles. I was going to say those people in Naperville who are waiting to get around together and make up this list, maybe they can go up to the Highland Park Country Club with those housewives and pretend to be poor.
Yeah, perfect. Another example. Of course, it's everywhere in Chicagoland. Yeah, the poverty simulation in Highland Park at the club. Okay. I've saved the best for last. Meet Tim Thompson. Tim Thompson is this guy who looks like Ricky from Better Off Dead. And the John Cusack movie. And he gets up to the microphone. He's got a T-shirt on with that's like a T-shirt version of the yard sign, right? Science is real. No person is illegal. Kindness is everything. And Tim Thompson is so upset he could cry.
I am very angry. At our last city council meeting, it was recommended to create a sign-up sheet for families who are willing to use their personal finances and homes to house migrants, migrant families seeking asylum, rather than to use tax dollars to help fund already established aid programs. This has garnered quite a bit of attention and, quite frankly, has made our city a national laughingstock. This suggestion didn't hold a bit of sincerity. It just, and I quote, wasn't outwardly mocking progressive voters. What's worse, it didn't come from some washed-up former city councilman or a failed school board member. It came from a sitting city councilman, directly from the dais. This wasted time at a city council meeting and wasted countless hours of city staff's time in the aftermath. We do not need our city council engaging in highly partisan activities to further their own interests and earn themselves their 15 seconds of fame. I'm begging you to see this as a sign. If this behavior is allowed to stand unchecked, I promise you it will only embolden others. If we want to maintain our city's integrity, this behavior needs to be discouraged. What we do in this moment will define us. I beg you to have the strength to do what's right and send a message that Naperville is a welcoming, wonderful place that doesn't abide hate. There has to be more for our city than this.
And then he went home because Mom was making meatloaf, and you know,
you should not upset me.
You don't upset Mom. This guy, in this moment will define us. Responding to a city councilman offering a sign-up sheet. This is an existential moment in the history of Naperville, nay the country, nay the Western world, Charles.
Oh man, look, this is so troubling because, you know, I really, to be honest with you, man, Naperville used to be a sane place.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Because
no.
It's obvious. When did they move in, man?
Well, and let me tell you something, too. You know, all this, how dare you ridicule us? Just remember C.S. Lewis's observation. Above all else, the devil cannot stand to be mocked.
Oh.
And that's why mockery is so important and so powerful and so appropriate here. Coming up at 6:36, we'll stay local. Orland Park Mayor Keith Pekow had to deal with some sentimentalists as well at his city council meeting this week on another issue, and that was, pro-Hamas protesters who want a ceasefire resolution passed in Orland Park, a la the one BLM Brandon passed in Chicago. We'll talk to him at 6:36, but now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
48 degrees at 6:32. The U.S. Supreme Court will hear arguments today on whether former President Donald Trump is eligible to serve another term as the High Court hears a case over the Colorado Supreme Court ruling disqualifying Donald Trump from that state's ballot. The search continues for 5 U.S. Marines who went missing after their helicopter crashed near San Diego.
A remote area of the Cleveland National Forest. It's rugged terrain. There's truck trails that go through the area, but the mud and the snow, it can become treacherous to travel.
CAL FIRE Captain Mike Cornett. The CEOs of 3 major pharmaceutical companies will appear before the Senate Health Committee today to try and explain how much they charge for drugs and why. A new satellite launched into orbit will study microscopic ocean life.
3, 2, 1, booster ignition. Full power engines and liftoff of the Falcon 9 and pace, helping keep pace with our ever-changing ocean and atmosphere.
The NASA mission lifted off this morning on that SpaceX rocket. The last original member of the Spinners has died. Can't interrupt that. Rubber Band Man was my favorite. Fambro was on hand last year when the Spinners were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Spinners' Instagram account says Henry Fambro died peacefully at his home in Virginia. He was 85. A man died after a shooting and crash in the Irving Park neighborhood on Chicago's north side this morning. Chicago police continue to investigate. As the network outage at Lurie Children's Hospital reached its 8th day, hospital officials now say they're working round the clock with internal and external experts as well as the FBI to resolve the cybersecurity issue. And a developer is releasing renderings of a possible new stadium for the White Sox. Drawings from Related Midwest show a stadium with walls of windows on that 62-acre site. Plans also include housing and a soccer stadium at the site of the current guaranteed rate field. Wild over the Blackhawks 2-1. Bulls take on Memphis tonight with just a few hours to go before the NBA trade deadline. College hoops in the Big Ten. Northwestern a win over Nebraska 80-68. The news is a service of Jackson Hewitt. It matters who does your taxes. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka puts it simply.
3 of our servicemen are dead thanks to an Iranian drone strike, and 40 are in hospital. This is the cost, the real cost in terms of human life, of having people who hate America running America. It's really that simple.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Honey, I am like a different woman. I mean, finally one day I kept seeing that commercial and I said, what the heck, what do I got to lose? I started feeling a little bit better. So I got my sister on them. I got my daughter on them. I can't say enough about them. I really can't. Those commercials that you all do is the truth.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by calling 1-800-246-8751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Hurry, this is your last chance to take advantage of this offer. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
As we near retirement age, market volatility can have an enormous impact on our lives. It's one thing if the market drops when you're 29 or 39, but if you're 59 or 69, it's a totally different story. Call us at the Wealth Management Group today, and we can help you create a plan to safeguard your nest egg in the event of market drops. Our number, 833-WMG-PLAN or invest with WMG.com.
Securities and financial planning offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
6:39. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Kennedy inbound at 25 minutes from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike-in 33, 390 into the old post office. I-55 an accident, left lane block. It's on the northbound side between Route 126 and Route 53. Dan Ryan, tough on the south end right now, 20 minutes in from 95th to the Burns Circle interchange. A disabled vehicle on the right shoulder on the Veterans. 355 northbound right at the Army Trail toll. And as we've been reporting through the morning on the northwest side, Irving Park Road between Albany and Sacramento completely shut down as Chicago police investigate a deadly shooting. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast, breezy. Possibility of a pop-up afternoon shower and a high of 56. Currently 49 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and former ABC7 political reporter Charles Thomas in for Amy this morning.
Good morning.
And Charles, BLM Brandon and the pro-Hamas caucus in the Chicago City Council has spawned more demands of more communities and businesses by pro-Hamas protesters who think they can block and bully their way into getting what they want, which is some sort of declaration of allyship with them and their interests in supporting terrorism in the Middle East, which is what it is, these ceasefire resolutions.
Well, too, keep in mind that there is a significant and rapidly growing Arab American population in in the southwest suburbs in general, and in Orland Park. So I'm not surprised at all by the effort that these activists made before the city council, they call it, in Orland Park.
Village board.
Board.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it's not limited even to where there are significant Muslim populations. How about Hartford, Connecticut? That's where the state capitol is located there in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
This was during Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont, Democrat, during his State of the State address. Mm-hmm. You get the gist of it. You know, they didn't glue themselves to the banisters in the audience, but like they lay down in front of traffic on major thoroughfares and so forth. How about in Niles outside of Woodward, the company Woodward, which is a aerospace company, a contract, I think it's a sub of Boeing, among others.
A group of young protesters sending a message today outside Woodward Manufacturing. About 100 people showing up at the company's site in Niles, blocking off all intersections leading into the property. The protesters say they don't agree with the company manufacturing products for Boeing, alleging that some of those products are bomb kits being used in Gaza.
More than 27,000 Palestinians have been killed in the past 3 months. Over 11,000 children have been killed in 3 months. And Woodward, Boeing, and other companies that have contact with Israel are complicit.
Mm-hmm. So that brings us to Orland Park, where you had, during public comment section, we were just enjoying Naperville's public comment section this week. Well, during Orland Park's public comment session, a bunch of individuals got up that want this ceasefire resolution, a la the Chicago City Council. And after they had gotten done with public comment, the mayor there, Keith Pekow, responded. Then he was interrupted repeatedly. Then they had to adjourn the meeting for half an hour and then come back so he could finish his statement. But here's the gist of what Pekow said in response to those demanding that Orland Park pass a ceasefire resolution. As you say, Charles, a sizable Muslim population in the southwest suburbs.
First and foremost, I'm an American. I'm not a German American. I'm an American. That's where my allegiances lie, period, dot, end of story. And if you're an American citizen and you don't feel that way, in my opinion, you're entitled to that opinion, but you can certainly go and go to another country and support that country. And all the power to you if you choose to do that. But as long as I'm in America, as long as I'm an American, and I am, I've taken several oaths to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I will always support America's interest, which means supporting our allies and opposing our enemies, and doing what is in the best interest of America and Americans. America's official position is to support a two-state solution and that Hamas is a terrorist organization. I agree with and support those positions. In my opinion, for this to end, Hamas must immediately surrender, disarm, and release all the hostages. The PLA must declare Israel's right to exist and agree to a two-state solution. Free elections must be held in Gaza with complete oversight from the international community. And then Hamas leaders and members should stand trial for violating the Geneva Conventions, including but not limited to Articles 3, 13, 27, 30, 34, 38, 52, 75, and 93. Until this happens, let's all hope that Israel exercises all possible caution to avoid unnecessary harm to the citizens of Gaza who are not affiliated with Hamas. As someone who has been to war, my biggest wish is for this conflict to end quickly with a decisive Hamas defeat so that the Gazan people can elect leaders that will do what is in the best interest for their people and create an environment that allows their community to thrive, where people of all faiths can live in peace, and where they and their neighbors can live without the threat of war and armed conflict hanging over their head every day.
So guess how that statement was received by the Council on American Islamic Relations, CARE, the ironically acronymed, and because that's an organization that's terror sympathizers, if not collaborators, certain affiliates. And ABC7 News, Charles, your former employer, guess how that was characterized, the statement you just heard from Keith Pekow in part?
How?
If you don't like...
that line.
Yeah, if you don't like it, then leave. The typical, like, America, love it or leave it. But that's not what he said. That's not a fair representation of what he said. It was detailed, and actually, I mean, I don't necessarily, the two-state solution, I think, is off the table for the foreseeable future, but regardless, interesting discussion at the village level in Orland Park, and, of course, what we've been talking about, the drum beating to fall in line with the orthodoxy, not of the administration in this sense, except maybe the Johnson administration in Chicago, but of the identitarian socialist Spice Girls orthodoxy on Israel as an apartheid state committing genocide, which is what those sanitized ceasefire resolutions are really about. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by the aforesaid mayor of Orland Park, Keith Pekow. Keith, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Charles. Welcome to the show, Charles.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the show yourself. And so yeah, what's the fallout from both of those exchanges during the meeting and then the stilted media coverage of it?
The usual that you would expect to see, the hate speech on social media and some hate emails, but also, especially after the media started to cover it, tons of outpouring of support as well. Not as much on social media because I think people don't want to get in the middle of that and be targeted. And that does not surprise me. But as one of my other trustees said, and you didn't play that, but I will not be bullied. I think that speaks for exactly what they tried to do the other night.
Mm-hmm. And the individuals that spoke during the public comment section, I watched most of it. Most of it, I mean, I sort of knew what they're doing, but most of it was room temperature and civil, so that's fine. Speak your piece. I don't care. But I wonder if you had any interactions with any of those individuals who did speak at public comment, or if that was just part of the show before the show, if you will.
So I had no interactions. We listened respectfully to every one of them speak, and I asked after the last one that had signed in spoke, I asked if anyone else wanted to speak, and they could come up and speak, and no one did. And then I presented my comments, and as I know you've listened to them, I basically presented the history of the region, and I didn't really even get into the current conflict. I got as far as saying that this is what the population is today, and at that point the room erupted, and I gabbled them and asked them to be respectful of me like I was respectful of them, and then they continued. And then I warned them again, and I said, if this continues, we'll have to clear the room. And then they continued, and then we cleared the room. So, and the entire room was chanting and yelling and disrupting the meeting, which you can certainly see on the video as well.
Well, if it's good enough for the Ivy League, it's good enough for Orland Park Village Board meeting, you know what I mean? This is how they get things done, or they think so. I wonder what the larger community is saying about this, particularly because you said something that I think was triggering to them. Maybe this was part of it even more than the just detailing the demographics of the region. I mean, it's like census data, and then they started shouting. But you said something about Chicago passing a ceasefire resolution. You basically said, if Chicago zigs, we're going to zag. I don't want to do anything that Chicago's doing. And I wonder if that was part of the offense that was taken.
Possibly. One individual said that we should be like Chicago and San Francisco. And, frankly, I don't want to be crime-ridden, feces-ridden, and migrant-ridden. And I don't think Orland Parkers want that either. And I said, if you want us to be like that, you should go there, because Orland Park is not it.
And from residents, I mean, other than the council and stuff, you said you're getting support. I mean, is this an issue that has really bubbled to the surface in Orland Park writ large, or is this just one of these instances where some residents decided, like in Niles outside of Woodward, like in the State of the State address in Hartford, Connecticut, they decided this is a good spot to make a stand. And it really doesn't represent sort of the discourse going on in the larger community.
Back at our meeting right before Christmas, I believe 4 individuals came and spoke and demanded this. And then haven't seen them since, although I have had a few phone calls threatening to protest if I don't meet their demands. And at the end of the day, Chicago has no role in foreign policy. I can't pick up the phone and call anyone in Israel or in Gaza to get this done. So, if I did, I'd be the Secretary of State. So Orland Park has no bearing on foreign policy, and we're not going to comment, which is what I told them in December. And I'm not surprised this happened. I guess maybe I'm a little surprised it didn't happen sooner, but certainly they're emboldened thanks to the city of Chicago and what they did and what Brandon Johnson did. So I would imagine that this will continue, but we will not be bullied and we will not give in. And the interesting thing of all of the comments that I've received, not one of them has acknowledged that Hamas, in fact, they've actually denied, some of them, that Hamas started this on October 7th. There was peace on October 6th, and that Israel has a right to exist. And if you can't acknowledge those two facts, it's pretty hard to have any kind of civil discussion about the issue.
But Keith, a lot of people, they because of demographic changes and the fact that there's a rise in secularism in this country, where people are basically non-religious, they're looking at this in a different way than the national government. And isn't what happened at your village board meeting democracy in action? As I mentioned earlier, you have this growing Muslim American population, and they basically express themselves. And
so certainly they express themselves as they're allowed to do, and we listen to that. But we're conducting a business meeting at that location, and to shout down my comments, which were all factual, everything I was giving was just facts, and to shout down my comments, to me, that's not civil discourse. It's certainly a right for someone to scream and yell. They have that right. I've fought for that right during my time in the service. However, if that's the way you're going to conduct business here in America, in my opinion, I hope you never get things done doing it that way.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's like, look, right, you have your say during public comment, and there's time, place. I mean, you want to have a discussion on the street, then it can be, freewheeling. And in these board meetings, like everyone does, I mean, this is not really in controversy. Yeah, you have everybody gets their say, and village officials want to say something, they get their say, and then you want to continue the conversation after the meeting, fine. But I mean, but the temper tantrums, like you had in Orland Park, that's it, by the same people, of course, prattling on about civil discourse. I mean, is this really that much? Is that really so complicated? Just you get your say, and then I get my say. Pretty straightforward stuff. Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah, you get your say, then I get my say, then you get to shout me down, and then you get to get all morally indignant about civil discourse. Right. Yeah. No, that's not how it works. By the way, did CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, that released a statement popping you? Did they talk to you? Again, trying to find common ground, another phrase that we always hear. Did they reach out to you and say, we'd like to have a discussion with you or the village board about this matter, these resolutions we're pushing?
No, as a matter of fact, in 7 years, I've never heard from CARE at all. With the growing population, as you point out, never, ever have heard from them. And their first comment to me is that I'm a racist, which I said nothing that is even remotely racist. Plus, they're the same race as I am. They're Caucasian. So if you're the way that you perceive discourse and democracy is to scream and yell when someone disagrees with you and call them racist the minute they disagree with you, that's the woke left mob. And I'm not going to give into it. That's not the America I know. That's not the America I grew up in. It's not the America I want. And I hope going forward, more Americans stand their ground and are not bullied, because this bullying goes way beyond the village board. And you know it, and I know it, that this is going on elsewhere. And people, most Americans, they don't want that. They just want to go about their daily lives. And hopefully that's what happens in the future.
He's Keith Picao, Mayor of Orland Park. Keith, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Dan, for having me.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. On AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, we have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
As Valentine's Day approaches and we embark on the season of love, we want to share a heartfelt reminder that the true essence of love lies not just in the words we say, but in the actions we take. At AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, our love extends beyond the personal to a profound appreciation for liberty, a love that unites us all. So here's a question for you. Do you love liberty? We certainly do. And to celebrate this love, we have a special gift in store for you. Imagine receiving a thoughtfully crafted magazine that captures the essence of being an American, filled with inspiring stories, insightful articles, and that unique AMAC touch. That's why we invite you to visit amac.us/Cupid, where Cupid himself stands ready to assist. Complete the form, and Cupid will swiftly deliver this magazine to that special someone's door. This Valentine's Day, let's not only express the love in our hearts, but also demonstrate that love for the principles that define our nation. Visit amac.us/Cupid, and let's make this Valentine's Day a memorable celebration of liberty and unity. Thanks for being a part of the AMAC family. And remember, the true essence of love is found in the actions we take.
Freedom and liberty are important to all of us in Illinois, from Rockford to Carbondale, from Quincy to Decatur. If you're looking for civil, intellectual conversations with those shaping the future of freedom, try the Future of Freedom podcast with me, Scott Bertrand. We speak with leaders across the country in the greater conservative and libertarian movements. In-depth conversations about where the next intellectual battles will happen across the country. It's the Future of Freedom podcast. Find it at americastalking.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up at 7:07, we need to lighten up a little bit. New installment of Sports and Politics at 7:07. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
This morning, the very latest on a shooting on Chicago's north side. Police are there in the Irving Park neighborhood this morning. A man is charged in a shooting outside an AutoZone in Dalton. Protesters arrested for blocking traffic in Niles. The Bears are raising season ticket prices. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
The Supreme Court takes up a case that could affect who you vote for. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, considering a case that could affect more than just Colorado, as former President Trump appeals being disqualified from the 2024 primary ballot there.
Justices agreed to fast-track this case after Colorado's Supreme Court ruled former President Trump committed insurrection on January 6, 2021, and is therefore constitutionally ineligible for the presidency. Maine Secretary of State reached a similar conclusion. Attorneys for the former president are urging the court to put these questions to rest, arguing the 14th Amendment does not apply here, and efforts to boot him off the ballot disenfranchises tens of millions of voters.
Fox's Jared Halpern. The U.S. has avenged the attack on a base in Jordan that killed 3 American soldiers with another retaliatory strike. This one in Iraq killed the commander who led the militia behind the attack. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has left the Middle East after another attempt at a ceasefire in Gaza stalled. The Senate may vote today trying to advance billions of dollars in military aid to Israel and Ukraine and Taiwan without border security provisions attached after that bigger bill failed to advance, frustrating Independent Senator Kirsten Sinema.
For 4 months, we've been unable to move forward, unable to defend democracy overseas because of the urgent need to secure our border. And then suddenly, in the last 48 hours, The border no longer matters.
Republican Senator Ron Johnson tells Fox it would not have stopped record illegal immigration.
They weren't negotiating to secure the border. They were negotiating for political cover, and the bill reflects that.
6 people are unaccounted for in East Lansdowne, Pennsylvania, outside Philadelphia. Feared dead in a house gutted by flames in a fire believed to be set after a shootout with police right near a daycare.
My teacher told us to run to the building and get on lockdown. I was scared and I was praying to God.
2 police officers were injured in the shooting. America's listening to Fox News.
48 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A man is dead after a shooting and crash in the Irving Park neighborhood on Chicago's north side. Police tell us the 21-year-old victim was driving around 3:40 this morning when investigators say someone in a white Jeep opened fire, striking the victim in the back of the head. A Cook County judge ruled Wednesday that a case seeking to bar former President Donald Trump from the March 19 Illinois Republican primary ballot will move forward independently of a similar case pending before the U.S. Supreme Court. More than 30 protesters are facing serious charges for blocking traffic in Niles. A group of pro-Palestinian, anti-Jewish demonstrators gathered yesterday in the 6300 block of West Howard. Police say several protesters were bound together and were verbally agitating officers. All 33 were arrested. A developer is releasing renderings of possible new stadium for the White Sox and what it would look like. Drawings from Related Midwest show a stadium with walls of windows on the 62-acre site. Plans also include a soccer stadium in and around the site of the current guaranteed rate stadium. Bears raising season ticket prices for next season by an average of 8%. Club will play 8 regular season games at Soldier Field. A Northwest Indiana man is accused of using the identity of an elderly Naperville man in his care and stealing $100,000. Zoran Tisevsky of Chesterton, Indiana, is charged with aggravated identity theft and theft. IDOT workers overwhelmingly authorizing a strike as they continue this week to demand a new taxpayer-funded contract.
They're expecting our new employees to start out at $32,000 a year, with a 2-year degree. And we're fighting very hard to get those wages up to a living wage.
Randy Freeman is with Teamsters Local Union 916, representing more than 4,000 IDOT workers across the state of Illinois. Wild over the Blackhawks 2-1. The Bulls take on Memphis tonight, just hours before the NBA trade deadline. College hoops, Northwestern routed Nebraska at Welsh Ryan 80-68. 7:04. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher hopes Biden takes this seriously.
Now, Congress is clashing fiercely over the degree of American involvement in this conflict in the Middle East. Again, it's the Biden regime, it's the Biden era, and we're going to see what Grandpa Joe comes up with. Let's hope he's making decisions when he is fairly lucid, because these are America's sons and daughters we're talking about.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Looking for top-notch personal protection? The Smith & Wesson Equalizer is here to level the playing field. Easy to rack slide, easy to control ergonomic grip. It's designed for you. With a 10, 13, and 15-round magazine included, size up for better control or size down for easier concealment. Don't miss out on the opportunity to upgrade your safety. Visit your local dealer now. To learn more about the Equalizer, visit smith-wesson.com. Smith & Wesson, empowering Americans. All capacity sizes may not be available in your jurisdiction. Be sure to check your local laws and regulations.
Sick and tired of achy joints? Dread the idea of surgery? Well, you need to call QC Kinetics. Hi, it's Amy Jacobson. Listen, the state of healthcare is always changing. The old ideas like steroids, cortisone shots, surgery are no longer your only options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative, non-surgical, drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain from arthritis or injury? Well, don't let this pain keep you from living your best. QC Kinetics advanced state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. Make 2024 the year you reclaim your mobility and independence. Walk and run, play and live. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. New locations, folks, in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-670-8526 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-670-8526. That's 800-670-8526. What do you have to lose? Call 800-670-8526. Again, 800-670-8526.
It is 7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and this update is service of Turnkey.pro. The experts at Turnkey know small business. This is the year to accomplish your business resolutions. Achieve more in 2024 with the help of Turnkey Managed IT and Marketing and Business Consulting. Visit Turnkey.pro today. Outbound Kennedy stop-and-go traffic between Montrose and Harlem. I-55 at accident, 2 left lanes blocked. Northbound on 55 between Route 126 and Route 53. Dan Ryan in 24 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Tri-State, an entrance ramp from Balmoral to the southbound side of 294, partially blocked with debris. West Chicago, report of an accident, Route 59 in Lee. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast in our QC Kinetics Weather Center, Steve Williams.
Today, clouds breezy and mild, a passing shower, and the high today 56. For tonight, clouds and showers, breezy, a rumble of thunder, low 44. Clouds and sun, breezy day tomorrow, high tomorrow at 56. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
49 at O'Hare, next news 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance. Arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
Dan, and in for Amy this morning, Charles Thomas, former ABC7 political reporter. And Charles, the other day, Roger Goodell was doing a little press confab in advance of Sunday's big game. And he had this to say about the prospect of the big game coming to Chicago. Take a listen.
The Bears are looking to build a new enclosed stadium in Chicagoland. How important is that to the league, and could that lead to a Super Bowl in the future?
I think it's important to the Chicago Bears, their fans. I think it's also important to that community. I think, as we have seen here, a great stadium can host additional events. I think that's true in Chicago. I think the Dome Stadium that they're talking about both downtown and also potentially in Arlington. I think those are both great opportunities that they need to explore. The good news is they've got quite a bit of time on their lease. The Bears are committed to being in Chicagoland. I talked to the mayor of Chicago recently. He wants them in the city. Arlington wants it out in Arlington. I think they'll be able to develop a proposal that will be good for the fans, but I also think it'll be great for Chicago.
What do you think about that, Charles?
Oh, they're going to charge us. Somebody's going to get really squeezed on the tax tip. That's what I think is going to happen. And whether it happens in Arlington Heights, folks out there, or in the city, they're going to have to come up with the money because the Bears aren't going to do it on their own.
What do you think about a dome, though? Do you want a dome for the chance to get the big game?
I mean, I think if you had a dome and the Bears paid for it, a dome definitely would.
Yeah, but that's not Bears football. Then all that history goes by the boards. Then we become the Lions.
All all that history is what
the Vikings
really, I think, stops the Bears from becoming what they need to be in the 21st century. I mean, the whole 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and
I expected some sports purity from you. You're a man of your time instead of.
No, I see the game. The game has changed, and the Bears haven't. I mean, why do you think they can't get a quarterback?
Well,
because it's their culture.
Justin Fields he's a quarterback. I mean, he's not the traditional drop back passer, right?
Look at what's happened to him in the last 3 years. Well, I mean, he isn't growing. I mean, not like you think he would be growing, because I think it's part of the culture of the Bears. I mean, they just don't. I mean, you can look at 4 or 5 players around the league right now who are all-pro caliber players who have come through Chicago, and they don't play here anymore. Why? Because the Bears won't pay them. The Bears, they just won't pay these guys. Like the guy that played, the running back at Detroit, Montgomery.
Yeah,
that guy's one of the best running backs in the league. But he left, unceremoniously left. You've got Roquan left. You've got even guys like Leonard Floyd, who played on the Rams championship team. You've got guys that come here, but they leave. And I think they leave because of the money.
I don't want a dome.
You don't want a dome. You want that bear weather, huh?
Yeah. Monsters of the Midway cannot play in a dome. And but
that's the problem. The Monsters of the Midway, that whole ethic. You can.
I mean, playing in a dome or not playing in a dome has nothing to do with the quality of the product you put on the field in Arlington Heights, by the way, which is where this is going to go, which is where it has to go. And I know they're, trying to placate BLM Brandon because of his diligent efforts to try to keep them in the city, but it just makes too much sense to do a whole complex in Arlington Heights at the old Orland Park, as we've talked about before, and you can do in Arlington Heights what the Cubs did in Wrigleyville and have a whole complex, triple the value of the franchise, just in time to sell it to Joe Ricketts when the matriarch passes, which is probably what's going to happen, I think.
Yeah, the other thing too is where are you going to put it? Where are you going to put a Bears stadium, dome stadium in Chicago? If the Friends of the Park went nuts over the Lucas Museum, what do you think they're going to do about a dome stadium?
That's a good point. Even with they even went nuts, although they didn't stop it, with the spaceship that they dropped into Soldier Field to expand seating and corporate boxes.
Which is going to be Exhibit A. Which is going to be their Exhibit A on why you can't build something else, that another monstrosity on the lakefront. I mean, what are they going to do with the spaceship? Are they going to save the columns? I mean, it's so complicated.
Well, right. It's a historic historic landmark, of course, Soldier Field. Yeah, well, I mean, there's always, you have sports of the future, you put a bunch of pickleball courts there in Soldier Field and try and become an epicenter of pickleball activity during the summer. Maybe put a little tent over that so you can play pickleball in the winter. You got your Chicago Fire. Also, by the way, I don't know if you saw this in the NPR Times state-run media. They had some renderings of the proposed new Comiskey Park in South Loop, that 78 property right along the river. Did you see that?
Yeah, that to me also is a pipe dream. I live generally in that part of the city, and I'm telling you, I don't see how you're going to get people to the game. I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, Roosevelt Road, Canal, Clark Street, those are small streets when you think about, they're going to have to drive 7-8 blocks off the expressway to get there. I mean,
the other thing you point out too, which I'm sort of categorically against, is taxpayer-funded stadiums, and they're never a good deal for taxpayers. And there's been a lot of research over the decades on this. Cato Institute studies, Reason Magazine's done some good reports on this as well. And I don't know how you build a new Comiskey Park solely with private money. And of course, the Bears are trying to extract, as you were saying before, tax concessions out of Arlington Heights. That may get done. I could see property tax relief being provided to the Bears, even though I'm opposed to that too. There should be no rent-seeking or coddling of rent-seeking behavior by professional sports teams that are as flush as they are. You can finance it privately. You figure it out, just like any other business. So that's my 2 cents on it. But I think you're right. That's going to be very interesting to see. But the Bears, that's going to happen. How you build another Comiskey Park without Reinsdorf trying to shake down the state the way he did under Governor Jim Thompson. We're going to move to St. Petersburg or something like this. I just don't see how it gets done. I mean, there's just not the value of the franchise. There's probably not the interest.
And the infrastructure work that has to be done on that 78
area.
Site, that's going to be huge money that somebody's going to have to come up with. And I don't think the White Sox are going to come up with that, or the Bears. It's going to be me and the rest of the people who live in the city of Chicago that are going to have to come up with that.
Well, right. And by the way, I mean, they look like beautiful stadiums, the renderings and so forth. By the time they're built, there's not going to be very many residents of Chicago, or certainly that can afford to go to the games.
True that.
So, yeah, it won't really matter that much. Text from 847, no dome from the guy who won't come to Chicago until it's above 60 degrees. Just saying, look, I wouldn't go to a Bears game if it was 80 degrees. I mean, especially at Soldier Field, because it's just such a hassle. I've been to all the Bears games in my life that I need to be to. I've supported all the Chicago sports franchises that I've needed to support. I'm sort of out of that altogether for all kinds of reasons.
Look, in December, there are December days you could not pay me to go to a Bears game outside. No way. If we aren't sitting in the box, which I never have done or expect to do, I'm not going.
I've been in the
sitting
boxes.
outside.
I've been in the boxes.
I'm not sitting outside in 15-degree weather.
Yeah.
Fair weather is. Forget about it, man.
Come on, with your shirt off and a big V on your. What, like Bearman with the whole battle regalia?
Nope.
Text from 630: Chicago needs a domed migrant center on the lakefront. All right, well you could repurpose Soldier Field that way too, I suppose. Once McCormick Place is full up. Tony, Southside.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning. I wanted to point out that it's a no-brainer, right? You leave Soldier Field the way it is. You build out in Arlington, and then with all the migrants we have coming in from Venezuela, all over South America, Mexico, that could be the new International Soccer League field. It's easy, peasy. That's all.
Thanks for the call, Tony. Yeah. Bill, Northwest Side.
Yeah, another big concern as a fan is it needs to be in Arlington Heights for one really big reason, and not in Chicago, is if I'm going to a stadium in Chicago, how do I get there and get home without getting shot at?
Yeah, well, there's that issue, too. All right, Bill, since you're a fan, keep Justin Fields, trade Justin Fields for another first-round pick.
Keep him. The problem isn't Justin Fields. The problem is the offensive line. He spends half of his every other play, he's running for his life. I think the guy has a lot of talent. If you put him surround him with the right people, he's good. You don't want to start all over again.
Thanks for the call, but I didn't mean to cut you off. Thanks for the call. Charles, where are you on that? Pay Justin Fields his $100 million plus. Keep him.
Well, he's going to come cheap. He can't command any money because he hasn't really done anything yet. He hasn't really accomplished anything. So you're going to get a bargain basement, good, not great, but good quarterback for less money. Go take the money and get some players to put around him because he's in a unique position now. He cannot command Patrick Mahomes kind of money or even Joe Burrow's kind of money. He can't command
not that kind of money, but he's going to demand real money. I mean, it will be $100 million.
Well, if he wants real money, then hey, he's got to go. But I think you can get him for a bargain basement price for an NFL quarterback, and then you can build around him. But
all right. Well, now I don't want to turn this into sports radio, but we know as much as the sports radio guys on most of this stuff, so why not? So do you then take Marvin Harrison number one, or do you still move the number one pick to try and get more picks in the first round because you have so many needs on the line, as Bill from the Northwest side said, as well as a deep threat like Marvin Harrison and perhaps more talent around Justin Fields.
Well, Marvin Harrison is supposed to be a generational kind of player, some Randy Moss kind of guy. I mean, yeah, I would take him number one. And keep in mind, you also have a number 9 pick. So
I know, but pile them up. But there's more than two needs on both sides of the ball, line and skill positions, right?
Well, we got skill position. If you get Marvin Harrison, I mean, you've got that. You've got DJ Moore and Marvin Harrison, and you've got
DJ Moore's a little long in the tooth.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. He's a little long in the tooth, but he's still a A-list
good possession receiver.
So
you know how many drops Marvin Harrison had in college?
No.
You know how many drops Marvin Harrison had at Ohio
I don't
State?
know.
0.
Really?
I mean, that's an incredible statistic.
That is an incredible statistic.
I mean, yeah, I think I have much more confidence in what Marvin Harrison is going to do at the next level than say Caleb Williams, who's too busy doing Dr. Pepper commercials.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these guys, because Caleb Williams, I think, began at some other college and ended up at USC. What these guys are doing because of this transfer portal deal, they're picking their shots in college to make themselves look the best they can because they can make money now in college.
Right.
And they can sort of design themselves. And you can go to USC where you've got a system that's going to work for you as opposed to going to some other college and then, maybe not being all that because the system doesn't necessarily work for you. And so you come out with these great statistics. It's like this kid at LSU. I never heard of this guy before he, wins the Heisman Trophy because he sort of tailored himself into that job. I don't think he started his college career at LSU. And a lot of these guys are doing that, and they look better than I think they might be. And I could live to eat my words if Caleb Williams turns into the second coming of Aaron Rodgers. But I don't know. I think I'd stay with Justin Fields and build around him. He has these flashes of a combination, kind of like Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes kind of thing. He can do.
Yeah.
But then he'll he'll look like.
The concern is that even when he has time, he doesn't make. One of the concerns, as I understand it and have witnessed it, is that he doesn't make enough of the throws that he needs to make, even when he does have time to throw. And so can he really amp his performance with a little bit more consistent protection? I don't know. He holds the ball too long too. But anyway, I want to get at one other item in here because I know you're all gaga over the Travis Kelce Taylor Swift thing. That's all you think about and talk about because you're a Chiefs fan. But this, right.
That's the one thing that gets on my last nerve.
You're not in love with America's first couple.
I'm gonna tell you something, man, and I probably will. I cannot name you one song that Taylor Swift sings. I can't.
Well,
I can't do it. Maybe that's because I'm an old fuddy-dud who really doesn't buy any music made after 1980.
Or because you're not a 13-year-old girl.
Whatever.
One of the two. Yeah.
But I mean, Taylor Swift, I'm sure she's a nice lady, but believe me, I don't have any Taylor Swift music in my collection, which, again, is all pre-1980 music. But, she doesn't do it for me. And not in any way. And Travis Kelce, man, the guy is a media giant right now. I mean, he's the guy.
Yeah. George Kittle's going to outperform him in the Super Bowl on Sunday, and San Francisco's going to win. But even though I can't. Betting against Pat Mahomes is punishing. He just finds a way. He's a winner. What can you say? But I did something on the Chiefs though, and Taylor Swift in particular. I was thinking about this the other day because I like. Fantasy politics just like the next guy. So we've heard a lot about, Biden, who will replace Biden. Biden's going to get replaced. The opaque the unnamed they are going to switch him out and switch Michelle Obama in or Gavin Newsom in. I got it. I figured it out. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about Taylor Swift being a psyop, the people that see black helicopters or just have too much time on their hands or are easily distracted. They're saying Taylor Swift is a psyop. Oh, she's going to endorse Joe Biden. It's going to be the first couple supporting the first couple, and that's going to propel Joe Biden to victory. So, no. Taylor Swift will turn 35 on December 13th of this year.
Really?
Making her eligible to be the next president of the United States. Taylor Swift will replace Joe Biden. How do you like that?
Hey, wouldn't that be something, man?
How do you like that? You think you can come up with conspiracy theories? I can. All right. One other thing on the Chiefs. This is some good news, too. Remember the story about that kid, 9-year-old kid, who was wearing the Chiefs garb at a game, and he had the Chiefs colors, half of his face painted black, half his face painted red. And he was attacked by Karen Phillips, a writer at Deadspin, with this absurd identitarian a diatribe against this 9-year-old kid. Roger Goodell, where are you to ban this 9-year-old kid from ever attending an NFL game and so forth? Well, finally, the family's name is Armenta, and you may remember it turns out that they have part of his heritage is Native American. Irony of ironies, of course it is. The family's suing now. The family finally got around to suing Deadspin. I hope they assume that out of existence. This is Nick Sandman Redux here. Right. And a lot of people said it at the time. They should sue for libel, and they are now doing that for this absurd column and this use of this 9-year-old as a scapegoat so that people can prosecute their identitarian ramblings. So, but that they are suing. So,
think Deadspin can pay that nut?
No, but I think Deadspin's going to see a judgment probably commensurate with what Justin Fields will command to stay with the Bears.
Well,
Charles Thomas in for Amy, Dan, and Charles, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century with IoT Smart Connected Scanning. It's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Oh, by the way, United Airlines has a Bears ad in advance of the Super Bowl. I assume this is the handiwork of that transvestite who's their CEO. Take a listen. This is Kyle Chandler, Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights.
Chicago, I know you're watching other people's teams play today, but today is all they get. Tomorrow is yours. It starts with the draft, then you build, until you're here winning it all. Bears fans, this is about believing. Believing so hard that you book your flight to next year's big game before the season even starts. Because believing that hard can change everything.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, yeah. Clear eyes and full hearts can't lose. Believe hard. Chicago 2024-25. Okay. Coming up at 7:37, we'll talk to Cody Sargent from the Heritage Foundation. That Senate immigration bill went down yesterday. Is it dead and buried, or may it rear its ugly head again? That's 7:37. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
7:33 on AM 560. The Answer. The U.S. Supreme Court will hear arguments today on whether Donald Trump can run for president again.
The 14th Amendment's insurrection clause challenge like this, and how justices on the Supreme Court rule could have a wide-ranging impact on ballot access across the country. Justices agreed to fast-track this case after Colorado's Supreme Court ruled former President Trump committed insurrection on January 6, 2021, and is therefore constitutionally ineligible for the presidency. Maine's Secretary of State reached a similar conclusion. Attorneys for the former president are urging the court to put these questions to rest, arguing the 14th Amendment does not apply here, and efforts to boot him off the ballot disenfranchises tens of millions of voters. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Another wave of stormy weather taking aim at California after days of historic rain. In and around Orange County, San Diego, winter weather advisories are in place for California's mountains. A man under arrest for his alleged involvement in a plan to steal nuclear missile secrets for China. The Justice Department announcing yesterday that Chen Guangdong stole files while working at a California company that develops tech to detect and track nuclear missiles. 2 police officers have been shot and up to 8 are unaccounted for following a standoff and house fire near Philadelphia today. 1 man is dead after a crash and shooting in the Irving Park neighborhood on Chicago's north side. Chicago police tell us the 21-year-old victim was driving around 3:40 this morning when investigators say a white Jeep drove by and someone inside opened fire, hitting the victim. As the network outage at Lurie Children's Hospital reached its 8th day Wednesday, hospital officials say they're working around the clock with internal and external experts as well as the FBI to resolve the issue, which began last week Wednesday, the 31st of January. Nurses at Ascension St. Joseph Hospital in Joliet are walking off the job this morning after giving a strike notice back on January 29. And an Illinois lawmaker is pushing a statewide child tax credit. The bill introduced yesterday would offer $300 per child starting in 2025 for families who earn less than the median income. If approved, Illinois would become the 14th state to pass a statewide tax credit. And the nation's largest and longest-running auto show kicks off this weekend. This year, the Chicago Auto Show features 6 modified more eco-friendly classic cars, formerly owned by Iron Man actor Robert Downey Jr. 6 vehicles include a 1969 Mercedes-Benz, 1972 VW bus, and a 1985 Chevy El Camino. Wild took down the Blackhawks 2-1 last night. Bulls take on the Grizzlies at the FedEx Forum as time runs out on the NBA trade deadline today. The Northwestern Wildcats, a Big Ten hoops win over Nebraska. The news, a service of Fox Valley Coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is easy to get to off I-88 on Route 59 in Naperville. Family-owned integrity since 1981. FoxValleyCoins.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager explains why we have a bleak future.
More than ever, teenagers see a bleak future. That's the headline. Now, why might that be? My contention is the left has ruined their lives. The left has ruined this country. It might survive, it might not.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, to social engineering and leftist corporations, do they make you feel like we're kind of living in the twilight zone? Well, you're not alone. Now, our friends at Pure Talk, my wireless company, they know the silent majority is fed up, and I'm calling on all of those Americans, stand with a company that champions your values. The average family is saving almost $1,000 a year. Dial pound 250, say the keyword SAVE NOW. Do it now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month from our friends at Pure Talk.
Over $6 billion in tax refunds were flagged by the IRS for possible identity theft in 2023. If you're in a bind this tax season, LifeLock can help. Their U.S.-based restoration specialists are dedicated to helping solve identity theft issues, and all plans are backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, which means if you lose money because of identity theft, LifeLock will reimburse you to the limits of your plan. Go to LifeLock.com and save up to 25% your first year with promo code CLAY.
Hi, my name is Ryan Bourne.
And I'm Danica Bourne.
And we're the owners of South Coast Tax.
We started our company 10 years ago in an effort to help our fellow Christians experiencing tax issues resolve their matters by taking a simple 3-step approach.
South Coast Tax are Christian-based tax accountants and attorneys that specialize in releasing bank levies, wage garnishments, and filing complex tax returns. We are the leaders in acceptance of offers and compromise with awesome results. We're also a small firm who will treat you like family, not just a number.
Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176 for a free consultation, and we'll take the time to explain all of the programs that you qualify for in order to allow you a fresh start.
Proverbs 15:22 says, "Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed." Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176, and together we can help achieve this goal by putting the IRS debt behind you for good. Again, that number is 1-800-TAX-1176.
Imagine what your future looks like. Is the picture a little blurry? Hey, it's Sean Thompson here for Alpha Wealth Group. When we look ahead, we're visualizing where we want to be, and for retirement, that can be hard without a written financial plan. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help you bring your retirement picture into focus. For decades, Tom has been crafting customized financial strategies. His goal is to help you protect your savings, grow your wealth, and create an income strategy you cannot outlive. If you're nearing or already in retirement, it's time to get your plan on paper. So bring your readers and let's take a look at it closely. Call Tom at 630-934-1855 and schedule a complimentary retirement consultation. There is no cost, there is no obligation. This is a chance to get a clearer view of your retirement. The number again is 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
7:40, let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. We'll start on the Kennedy, 43 in from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike, over an hour now, about 65 minutes from 390 into the old post office. Solid traffic on I-55 due to an earlier accident at Route 126 on the northbound side. In the inbound, Stevenson is at 1 hour, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan, 28 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy with a possible afternoon shower, high 56. Currently 46. Your next news update is at 8. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. America First with Sebastian Gorka, weekday afternoons at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy is Charles Thomas, former ABC7 political reporter.
Enjoying it.
Enjoying having you, Charles. We had a fun little discussion about sports and politics, but now we have to return to the heavy matter of public policy and national security. The Senate immigration bill failed yesterday, as anticipated, when Mitch McConnell walked away from it. The bill that he sponsored through Jim Langford, his proxy, on the matter.
Mitch McConnell, man, what a pathetic old man.
Yes, it's it's long overdue for leadership change in the Senate. That's no question about that.
But I'm not saying that this bill shouldn't have been killed. I mean, this bill needs to go away,
right?
Without a doubt. That's this reporter's opinion.
Absolutely, in complete agreement on that. But there's this larger dynamic at play here, and we've talked about it with respect to Cleta Mitchell's, the election attorney's memo. Been talking about that for the last couple of weeks now, in terms of the vulnerabilities at the state level because of federal statutes like the National Voter Registration Act for all the people who are in this country illegally to be turned into voters come November. That's an issue. The issue, obviously, at the sanctuary city and state level, where the migrants have flocked or have been facilitated by Governors Abbott and DeSantis, to be certain, about prioritizing the interests of people in this country illegally over citizens of America. This obviously is salient in Chicago. Give me an example, too, of the mentality you're dealing with here. And in an interesting place you wouldn't necessarily immediately think of. You think of urban metropolises in the states in which they're located. How about the state of Maine? Turns out the state of Maine has a leftist governor named Janet Mills. They also have a state representative named Dika Dahalik, who's a Somali immigrant. Think Ilhan Omar. Governor Janet Mills has opened an Office of New Americans for the state of Maine. And there's pending legislation that would seek to attract 75,000 workers to the state of Maine over the next 5 years by integrating migrants into the workforce. This is pending legislation, and so there was a hearing on this. And somebody queried that state representative, who's the Somali immigrant and former local mayor, I think, of South Portland, Maine, on this topic. By the way, integrating people in this country illegally into the workforce. This morning, we mentioned yesterday when John Cass sat in, that the Illinois Department of Employment Security is doing the same thing. They've got a webinar this morning. Who should attend? HR people make hiring decisions, people own companies. How to integrate our new arrivals into the workforce. Well, what if they don't have work visas? Doesn't matter. We're in the integration business. So is the state of Maine. The question that was put to this Maine Democrat state legislator was the priority question. Take a listen to this exchange.
What about the military folks that are getting out of the military and they have to go through all the lines and start all over again, even though they have credentials? So my question, pretty simple. Why would we fast track them and we won't do it for our own military?
they have the advantage of speaking the language, most of our military folks. So these folks that we're really working on may not have that. So it's going to be really difficult for them to say, yes, I used to be an electrician in my country. I'm just using mine, which is Somalia. But that might not really fall into our laws that we have in this country.
So there you go. That's explaining why it is appropriate to prioritize non-citizens, many of whom are in this country illegally, to be certain, over veterans, people, American citizens who serve this country.
Yeah, and you also have to think about the businesses who would hire them. How much are they going to pay them, and who's going to work for how much? That's always in the back of the minds of people that are tradesmen, for instance, people who own their own construction company and they're not bound by any union rule. I've had that happen personally, with a painter, with painters. What will an immigrant painter, what will he charge, and what will an American-born citizen painter charge? That's very real.
You need a state agency for the immigrant electrician who doesn't speak the language to communicate his skills. You have to set up a state agency. You have to have an office of resettlement. You have to allocate these resources, personnel and financial. You have to have Democrat legislators out there explaining to you why veterans need to take a backseat to people in this country illegally or on a pending asylum application, may or may not have a work visa. And this is the proper posture of a state government?
Well, it depends on who's controlling the state government.
Well, it certainly does.
Yeah.
For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Cody Sargent. He's the comms director for Heritage Action. Cody, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So, it seems to me that sort of not, the instances that are illustrative, the cops being beaten up in New York City, the reporting the 62-year-old woman being dragged on a moped in New York City, this story that's coming out of Maine, Ilhan Omar's speech that went viral where she talked about her purpose as a legislator, as a member of Congress, is to represent the interests of Somali immigrants, not Americans, Somalis here, legally or illegally. She doesn't distinguish, just like her party doesn't. It seems to me this is what is driving the revolt, and which is why the Langford-Schumer bill was DOA.
Yes, I think you're right. I saw yesterday that MAGA Inc., the super PAC connected to the Trump campaign, has a new ad out that's entitled "Joe Biden is giving America the middle finger," showing a video of the immigrant in New York who beat up the police officer, was arrested, released without bail because of that city's progressive policing policies, and then threw up a double middle finger to the cameras that were showing him walking away free. That's how Americans feel right now. I think we're at a breaking point, and I think your listeners in Chicago are seeing that more than a lot of people across the country, but we feel like we're being left behind and others are being prioritized. And for example, this deal in the Senate, the lead negotiator on the Democrat side, Chris Murphy, said on MSNBC yesterday that it was disappointing that the bill fell apart because their strategy on immigration, quote, has failed to deliver for the people we care about the most, the undocumented Americans. That is where their mind is at. That is what Mitch McConnell tried to deputize James Lankford, who I think is a good man, to negotiate with. How in the world could negotiating with someone with that mentality produce something that would work for the American people? They produced a bill that would have incentivized more illegal immigration, made the border crisis worse, and then they dumped it out on a Sunday night at 8 o'clock during the Grammys, because nothing says faith in your bill like dumping it out on a Sunday night. The bill would have been a disaster for the border crisis, and I was very glad to see conservative senators stand up on Monday and pretty much make it DOA in less than 24 hours in the Senate.
So what are the chances that this or something like it rears its ugly head again, or is Mitch McConnell in particular properly chastened by what has transpired?
Well, I think the immigration section of this bill is pretty much dead for now. Today, the Senate will try to vote again on the rest of that supplemental funding package, so money for Ukraine, Taiwan, the Indo-Pacific, Israel. They will try to bring that back, and it's unsure if that will pass, but the immigration section has been stripped away, and I think it's dead in the Senate for now. What the Senate should do is take up a bill that would actually secure the border. H.R. 2, the Secure the Border Act, was passed in the House 250 plus days ago, and Chuck Schumer refuses to consider it. That's what they should be putting on the floor for a vote and letting senators go on the record voting on. They refuse to do that. So for now, it seems like the immigration section is dead in the Senate, but we'll see what they do with the rest of this quote-unquote national security funding.
Well, it's interesting because, I mean, if they would vote to authorize another $60 billion to Ukraine, I mean, that is going to be seen, at least by the base of the Republican Party, as green lighting what McConnell ultimately only cared about, what he really wanted. And all of that now, even to some extent, the aid to Israel and Taiwan, although there's much less antagonism there, it's all seen as fruit of the poisonous Senate immigration bill.
Yes, I think you're probably right. And the Heritage Foundation and Heritage Action have been sounding the alarm about this foreign aid package since before the immigration deal was a part of it. We've issued what we call a key vote to warn legislators that this is our most important priority, urging them to vote no on the package with the immigration deal and without the immigration deal. The package as it stands right now is still nearly $100 billion in deficit spending that we do not have, so more money on our national credit card that would all go overseas, including $60 billion more for Ukraine, as you mentioned, in unaccountable funding. This is coming weeks after reporting that Ukrainian officials stole $40 million in American cash that we sent over there. So this bill, as it stands now, is still unacceptable to conservatives, and we've been saying that for months. When we started raising the alarm back in December about this aid, that's when they cooked up their plan to add an immigration component that turned out to be a meaningless bait and switch. So they lost yesterday, and we're hopeful that they'll lose again today for failing to put Americans first. And we're really glad to see finally conservative senators standing up and making sure that everyday Americans are heard in this process and not allowing the uniparty to run all over us like they have been doing for years.
Cody Sargent, he's the comms director for Heritage Action. Cody, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Are you tired of being told to hang in there on the Wall Street roller coaster because the market always comes back? Meanwhile, fees continue to be deducted from your account while your retirement withers away? Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, best-selling author and star in a brand new Hollywood documentary called The Retirement Deception. In the film, you'll see how Wall Street's traditional retirement plans and 401ks have failed Americans. But more importantly, you'll discover the solution to protecting your hard-earned wealth and retiring successfully. You'll see how to grow money potentially double digits, beat inflation with increasing income, and when the next market crash hits, you lose nothing. So if you're over 50 and want a bigger, better, stress-free retirement, call to talk to a specialist and get a free copy of this brand new movie, The Retirement Deception. Call 800-578-3535. This is a $30 value, but when you call today, you get it completely free. Plus, I'll even cover shipping and handling, no credit card required. So don't delay, call right now. 800-578-3535. 800-578-3535. 800-578-3535.
50 years of precision tooling. Now that's a lot of job shop work and custom parts. And it's why Bruscher Machining is the go-to CNC turning and machining company in Chicagoland. If you have a custom project, whether it's a single prototype or a short-run production of a few thousand pieces, give them a call today for your free custom quote, 630-876-1661. Or visit BruscherMachining.com. That's BRUCHER Machining.com. They also provide heat treating, balancing, plating, and surface coating, welding, and fabrication, plus project management. Bruscher Machining guarantees to consistently deliver high-quality parts and solutions on time for reasonable prices. Yeah, everyone says that, but the proof is in the tooling. Stop by to meet their team of seasoned pros and tour the facility located in West Chicago. To learn more about how CNC machining can turn your tough project into an operational reality, contact Brusher Machining today for your free custom quote. 630-876-1661.
There is a place in northern Illinois where people have received large sums of money for a handful of old change.
That's right. Fox Valley Coins on Route 59 in Naperville pays big cash for old coins. Many places buy gold and silver. Fox Valley Coins does that too, but they pay more for the rare ones. A true story. Recently, a lady came in with a pouch full of old silver dollars. A few better ones, but most were run-of-the-mill, and they added up to a few $1,000s. But for one silver dollar, Fox Valley Coins offered $4,300. She had no idea and was shocked.
An honest coin dealer. He actually pointed out the rare ones. Fox Valley Coins buys and sells with free verbal appraisals just north of I-88 on Route 59 in Naperville. FoxValleyCoins.com. Over 40 years of family-owned integrity.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-353-2973 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-353-2973. That's 800-353-2973. What do you have to lose? Call 800-353-2973. Again, 800-353-2973.
Cooler weather is here. Is your vehicle ready for the winter? Remke's Garage, your diesel engine and transmission specialist, can inspect your vehicle so you won't end up on the side of the road. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. The shop at Remke's Garage is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians. When was the last time you changed your filters, checked your batteries, inspected your tires, belts and hoses, or flushed your coolant? Be prepared. Bring your Mercedes Sprinter, Ford Power Stroke, Dodge Cummins, Chevy Duramax, or Isuzu diesel truck to Remke's Garage and have your tires inspected as well. Ask about the fleet-worthy commercial-grade Toyo Celsius Cargo all-weather tire. The premier tire to accommodate the rainy, icy, snowy, and cold weather we encounter here in the Chicagoland area. Don't get stuck. Remke's Garage is your diesel and Toyo tire headquarters. Visit remkesgarage.com. That's REMKES garage.com and schedule your inspection today.
The following is a paid political announcement.
I'm Dr. Kent Mercado, and I'm running for Congress in the 11th District. I'm a physician, attorney, humanitarian, father, and husband. And I've had the privilege of speaking with several thousand residents, and I've heard your concerns. And they are kitchen table issues: the economy, education, safety, and secure borders, access to quality and affordable physical and mental health care. I'm here to be your voice. Please vote for Dr. Kent Mercado for Congress on March 19th in the Republican primary.
This message was paid for and approved by Dr. Kent Mercado for Congress.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning at 8:08. We're going to speak with Keisha King, homeschool mom of two daughters, founder of the Mass Exodus Movement. You know where the exodus from, the government schools. 8:08. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
A woman accused of shoving her nephew into Lake Michigan found fit to stand trial. WIND Chicago News Time.
This is a Fox News alert. 5 missing Marines found dead. I'm Dave Anthony, confirming the military's worst fears the day after losing contact with the helicopter they were on.
A statement from the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing says all 5 Marines with Heavy Helicopter Squadron 361 lost their lives when their chopper crashed on Tuesday night during stormy weather in the mountains outside San Diego. The CH-53E Super Stallion helicopter vanished while returning to Marine Corps Air Station Miramar in San Diego after training at Creech Air Force Base, northwest of Las Vegas.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. The U.S. military has retaliated again in the Middle East, killing the commander of an Iran-backed militia.
The Pentagon says it targeted a leader of a group named Kataib Hezbollah in the Iraqi capital, Baghdad. Kataib Hezbollah has been linked to the attack which killed 3 U.S. soldiers at a military base in Jordan last month.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Next hour, the Supreme Court considers a case that could be a big deal for the election. As former President Trump appeals the ruling in Colorado, removing him from the 2024 primary ballot, saying he incited the 2021 Capitol riot.
Citing the Constitution's insurrection clause, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to be specific, which has never been used in history to disqualify a presidential candidate. The measure passed in 1868 to keep Confederates from holding office. Trump's legal team firing back. Quote, the American people, not courts or election officials, should choose the next president of the United States.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. Former President Trump was left off the ballot in Nevada on purpose in Tuesday's primary that didn't count, so he could instead take part in today's Nevada's Republican caucuses that will award delegates. But Nikki Haley refused to pay to take part, opting instead to be in the primary, losing to a none-of-the-above option, and she tells Fox.
We knew the whole thing was rigged, and so we didn't put a dollar or a day into it.
Marianne Williamson has dropped out of the Democratic race after finishing far behind President Biden in 2 primaries. America's listening to Fox News.
46 degrees in Chicago. It's 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A woman accused of shoving her 3-year-old nephew into Lake Michigan near Navy Pier is deemed fit to stand trial. Victoria Moreno is charged with the murder of Josiah Brown. Cook County State's Attorney's Office said she was found fit for trial with medication. A man died after a shooting and crash in the Irving Park neighborhood on Chicago's north side early this morning. Police say the 21-year-old victim was driving in the area around 3:40 this morning when investigators say someone opened fire, striking the victim in the back of the head. As the network outage at Lurie Children's Hospital reached day 8 Wednesday, hospital officials finally said they're working round the clock with internal and external experts as well as the FBI to resolve the cybersecurity issue. More than 30 protesters are facing charges for blocking traffic in Niles. A group of pro-Palestinian, anti-Jewish demonstrators gathered yesterday in the 6300 block of West Howard. Police say protesters bound themselves together and were verbally agitating officers. Again, 33 were arrested. Wild over the Blackhawks 2-1 at the UC last night. Bulls visiting Memphis tonight, just ahead of the NBA trade deadline. And the Northwestern Wildcats earn a Big Ten basketball win over Nebraska, 80-68. AM 560 news time is 8:03. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stock futures are pointing to a weaker open after yesterday's records for the Dow and S&P 500. Walt Disney is showing encouraging signs of a turnaround. Its earnings topped expectations, it's raising its dividend, and its forecast is optimistic. Disney is also investing in video game company Epic Games. The stock is higher. PayPal says it's committed to making the necessary changes to its business to drive profitable growth in the year ahead. Its earnings were disappointing. Shares of chip designer ARM Holdings are up more than 20% after the company reported a record quarter. ARM has been seeing strong demand for its artificial intelligence technology. Spirit Airlines continued to lose money in the recent quarter, though the loss was smaller than predicted. Wynn Resorts earnings topped Wall Street's estimates. The casino operator says it saw business pick up in Las Vegas and Macau. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Laura Cantor, invested in you.
8:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum explains the mentality.
Cis women, they call them cis women. It's like a sin to be born and recognize yourself as a woman, because that's how you were born. It's a sin. They are intentionally creating minority victim groups so they can always have a victim grievance. Always.
The Officer Tatum Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-353-2973 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-353-2973. That's 800-353-2973. What do you have to lose? Call 800-353-2973. Again, 800-353-2973.
Sick and tired of achy joints? Dread the idea of surgery? Well, you need to call QC Kinetics. Hi, it's Amy Jacobson. Listen, the state of healthcare is always changing. The old ideas like steroids, cortisone shots, surgery are no longer your only options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative, non-surgical, drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain from arthritis or injury? Well, don't let this pain keep you from living your best. QC Kinetics advanced state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. Make 2024 the year you reclaim your mobility and independence. Walk and run, play and live. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. New locations, folks, in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Looking for top-notch personal protection? The Smith & Wesson Equalizer is here to level the playing field. Easy to rack slide, easy to control ergonomic grip. It's designed for you. With a 10, 13, and 15-round magazine included, size up for better control or size down for easier concealment. Don't miss out on the opportunity to upgrade your safety. Visit your local dealer now. To learn more about the Equalizer, visit smith-wesson.com. Smith & Wesson, empowering Americans. All capacity sizes may not be available in your jurisdiction. Be sure to check your local laws and regulations.
It is 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Kennedy, 53 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The I-CAN right now, 71 minutes from 390 into the old post office. Stop and go North Avenue all the way to the Tri-State. Stevenson in 55 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan, 33 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Stop and go traffic due to an accident on I-80 eastbound between Hobart and the Des Plaines River Bridge. Downers Grove, an accident, Butterfield and Briarcliff. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, clouds, breezy and mild, a passing shower, and the high today, 56. For tonight, clouds and showers, breezy, a rumble of thunder, low 44. Clouds and sun, breezy day tomorrow, high tomorrow at 56. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Right now, partly cloudy and 46 at O'Hare. Your next news update is 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, Charles Thomas, former ABC7 political reporter, radio talk show host.
That's me.
Charles, I'm seeing reporting now. The Chicago media. Insert your own joke there. Parents are apparently scrambling with respect to educational options for their kids, at least those parents whose kids were on scholarship thanks to the tax credit scholarship program. But since Governor Pritzker and the political ruling class in Illinois has ended that program, now parents are scrambling. Boy, who could have foreseen that?
Yeah, well, think about how parents are scrambling here in the city of Chicago, where Mayor Brandon Johnson, who less than a year ago was a paid organizer for the Chicago Teachers Union, the city now trying to close the so-called selective enrollment schools in Chicago.
Yes, right,
a movement is underway. I mean, so those parents are scrambling as well. This is a crazy, crazy time we live in.
Anything that presents competition to the government school system must be extinguished. There's no question. Also, we have schools closing. Elgin Academy, 185 years. St. Francis of Rome and Cicero. And some Catholic schools that have interesting partnerships to keep the doors open. One of them profiled on Fox Chicago. Holy Family. The school is Home and Square neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. West Side.
You know, you got to be creative when you don't have arch support, when you don't have your tax credit scholarship program.
And you have a mayor and a governor who are sitting back and letting it happen. No sensitivity whatsoever to those people, most of whom voted for these people.
And
it's mind-boggling.
Right. And most of whom, and the people they voted for, most of whom send their kids to private school.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, enter the Hooters girls, Charles. Hooters and Holy Family.
Well, good morning. It's the Wings for the Kids program, and what a boost it gives the kids here at Holy Family Ministry School. It helps pay for classroom supplies, tuition, technical supplies, and more. All you have to do is eat wings any Tuesday this month, and a third of the profits go to the school. It was started back in the 90s, and they're closing in on $1 million. And nobody knows that better than the CEO, who I'm going to introduce you to now, of Holy Family Ministries. This is Cheryl Collins, and she is standing alongside Kevin Scott, who's a 6th grader. But let me start with you, Ms. Collins, and tell me what kind of a boost that close to $1 million has made here.
Oh, you have no idea. It's just been amazing. Every year we get a check from Hooters, which allows us to buy technology tools for the students, books and textbooks, even opportunities for field trips for the children. Oh, wow. So we're really grateful for this partnership.
And it allows guys to go to Hooters and say, honey, I'm doing it for the kids.
Hooters and Holy Family.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Whoa.
Yeah, well, Kevin is one of the lucky 6th graders who got to interact with the Hooters girls because they were on site for this little media pop. Take a listen.
Right. And it also, I see that the Hooters girls come by and interact with the kids. Mm-hmm. I heard about the reading program. What a nice thing, huh?
It's excellent. They come in and they volunteer for Read Across America Day. They come in and volunteer throughout the year for various events. They've even come to judge science fairs for our kids. So it's great having them here, and the children just love them when they're present.
Hey,
I bet. Do they come in uniform?
Hey, man, where did you get that audio from?
It's Fox Chicago. It's a Fox Chicago story.
Oh, my God. Oh, man.
I mean, by the way, I just have a question. On the reading program, are the Holy Family 6th graders teaching the Hooters girls to read, or is it the other way around? Lucky 6th grader Kevin Scott was asked for his comments. He's a little shy, but very savvy in terms of how he handled this.
Kevin, what do you think of this program? The Hooters girls come and help you out with your reading and whatnot?
I think that it is really good how the Hooters girls come and support us and how helping us with our education and things like that and all the money that they have donated.
Have you ever tried a Hooters chicken wing?
No.
Oh, well, we have to change that. Excuse me, ladies. Can you bring some wings? No, they actually do have a little wing party with the teachers. Is that right?
Yeah, every Christmas they supply our food for our Christmas our Christmas party for our staff, and even throughout the year, if we ask for anything, they're always there to help us. It really boosts them around for the team to have Hooters food, because who doesn't like a chicken wing?
Hey man, this is an archdiocese school.
Yes,
it is.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yes. Say a prayer for the Chicago Archdiocese. And I'm persuaded for the Hooters philanthropy. I mean, hey, somebody's stepping in. If you're not going to get it from your elected officials. For more on this topic, I know it's a bit of a strange segue. I grant you that, but I had to get that story in just because here's where things are at in Chicago. We're pleased to be joined by Keisha King. She's a homeschool mom of 2 daughters. She's the founder of the Mass Exodus movement that aims to get children into better learning environments. She's also the host of the eponymous Keisha King Show. Keisha King, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So have you been in contact with Hooters at all to develop your Mass Exodus movement program?
They did not make the list of one of our resources.
All right. Well, tell us, you're a homeschool mom of 2 daughters. There had to be a moment where you decided to be a homeschool mom, I'm guessing, and I don't know if that was, well, I do know, but that was not because you had a disposition against government schools at the outset of your kids' education. It was because of something that occurred, yes?
Correct. So I started seeing all the critical race theory and the gender ideology in the schools, and the tipping point for me was when the government told parents that we were domestic terrorists and actually had a threat tag, an FBI threat tag against us, and it just made me realize, oh my goodness, they really don't want us to protect our children. And so that was the straw for me, and I said, no more. I pulled my children out, and they have been thriving so wonderfully. It's just been incredible.
Sorry to interrupt, but how old were your kids when that happened? You made the decision?
15 and 13.
Okay.
Yes, my oldest was 15. Yeah.
And then so go on. So they've been thriving and go on. I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness, they have. They're so self-motivated to learn now. They've become extremely, just much more responsible, much more accountable, and that just comes with things that I had already was instilling into them prior to this. But just that last bit of getting them out of these, I call them indoctrination camps, pulling them out of these places, it just brought my children back to themselves. It was amazing. And the bond that we have now, it's just been incredible. And so, I know that there are parents who can't pull their children out, and there are, states that don't have the option of, a school choice or vouchers and things like that. So I created a course for parents so they can learn how to stop the indoctrination and get their children back to them while they are still in these schools.
Miss King, this is Charles Thomas. I got a question. How do you get your message out? Can you talk about the challenges you have in getting your message to people, particularly in a place like Chicago, to tell them that school choice is not the monstrosity that CTU says it is?
It's really tough because most parents who don't see it right away, they think, and this is all over, they think it has, like they'll hear something about critical race theory or, a DEI program or a child's gender being hidden from their parents, and they'll think it happened in that one time at that one place, but it's not really, it's just an isolated incident. So most parents struggle with understanding that these government schools are connected with federal government programs, and many times, and there are local programs and grants and contractors that come in to push this agenda, and they don't understand that it It has been a mass movement for quite some time now. And the hardest thing about it is getting them to understand that the child, their own child, is not coming home and telling them these things because they don't even have the words to articulate it. You know, it is so woven, masterfully woven into curriculum, masterfully just common acceptance that your child, they don't even recognize that it's something wrong. They've been seeding this, you know, for so long. Most kids don't even know to come home and say, Mom and Dad, this was weird. You know, so by the time a parent actually finds out about it, it's a lot of, it can be too late, many times. So it is tough.
Yeah, I know I have a problem believing that parents don't want control of what their kids are learning. I got to believe that, hey, if you have school choice, you've got control again. We're restoring control to you. Don't you want that? And they sort of look at you with a blank look on their face as though.
Yeah. You know what's fascinating to me? So I listen to a lot of, teacher behind the scenes stuff, and you'll hear teachers in the classroom say, your parents are, they're old and outdated. They're traditional, listen to us like we're the experts. And then parents turn around and say, listen to your teacher. So here we have parents saying, listen to your teacher. In the classroom, the child is being told not to listen to their parents. And so when parents are like, they're trying to understand why they are struggling to connect with their children, why they are struggling to, for their child to listen to them and their child to, continue on with the values that they have instilled within them, and they find them going astray. And it's, many times a lot of the messaging that the confusion, communication that we're having with our children because parents don't really understand the system that they're sending their children to. There's still a romanticized view of the mass compulsory schooling system, and we need to recognize it for what it is. And that is another difficult part to get parents to understand.
That is such an important point. I mean, that is so 100% on the mark that they just have the romanticized view. That's a great way to describe it. And so they almost can't bring themselves to even look. I hope this is, like you were saying, the story I heard somewhere else. Well, that's not going on in my school. And you know what? If it is, I refuse to look at it because I can't bring myself to then take the necessary steps if it is going on in my school. Let me give you an example of this too, just in terms of, you talk about the system they don't know what they're dealing with and the mentality of the system's overlords. They don't appreciate what they're dealing with. This is in the state of Indiana. This is legislation that was sponsored by a Democrat from Gary, Indiana. Now, this isn't going to go anywhere because of the political distribution of power in Indiana state government, but it still gives you an insight into the thinking here. This kind of stuff does go somewhere in places like Chicago and Illinois and other states that are governed by the teachers' unions effectively. This is legislation from Vernon Smith, who's a Democrat state rep in Indiana. An employee or staff member of a school or third-party vendor used by a school to provide instruction may not provide to a student in kindergarten through K through 12 in kindergarten through grade 12 concerning the following: Christopher Columbus, a president of the United States who owned an enslaved person. That's a quarter of our presidents, by the way, roughly 12 out of 46. Instruction concerning a person described in these earlier sections. The institution of slavery, the harmful effects of colonialism, or the decimation of indigenous populations throughout the world. May not provide instruction. An employee or staff member of school, third-party vendor, you have to hew to this curriculum that we set up. You may not address any of these topics other than the way it has been dictated to you by who? By the teachers' unions and the politicians they own. This is what you're actually dealing with in these K through 12 government systems, not just the big urban centers, but also these suburban districts too that are supposed to be so different than the schools in the urban centers, and they're not.
That is wild to me. That's literally keeping education from children. Like that's literally what you're supposed to be doing. That's where your tax dollars are going, to educate the children. They're saying they're blatantly saying we're not going to educate the children, and we want you to be okay with that. They can't get. I don't think the schooling system can get more blatant and direct about what they believe and what they want. I mean, they've laid it out pretty clearly. I don't know. They're not hiding it. They are saying we are going to push the gender ideology. We're going to, keep this information from parents. They're saying we're going to push this idea that, we're going to judge you by what you look like. So if you're black, you fit in this box. And, despite your history, your family history or whatever, we are telling you exactly what we believe America is and what the history is. And if we don't think that this information is pertinent according to our standards by the experts, we will keep this from your child. I mean, how are children supposed to learn with only one narrative, one view? There's nothing to compare that to. This is mind-blowing to me. Like, that is insanity. It's the total opposite of education.
You've got this Parents' Guide to Stop Indoctrination workshop that you do, and obviously you've got your show and this mass exodus movement. As you're helping parents who come to recognize what's going on and say, I need to make a decision like you made, Keisha King, and then they make that decision. I assume you stay in touch with them. I've seen some of the testimonials on your website. What is the most common pitfall or the most common challenge you hear from parents who made the decision that you made for your kids?
Probably parents thinking that they can't do it, that they don't have the skills to teach their own children. And, that is not true. I am a Christian, and I do believe that God has given us, as parents, when we have the gift of children, we also come with the ability to teach our own children. You really do. We've just, again, become romanticized with the system in thinking that them in a certain way. No, we don't have to teach them in that way. Children can learn. Children are not one, they can learn in many different ways, and most children benefit from, a more customized learning environment. And schools is a one-size-fits-all, and so many kids fall through the cracks, and they end up hating school, and then we associate schooling with education, and they're just two totally different things. But that's the main thing that parents feel like they can't do it, and I'm here to tell you that you can. You absolutely can.
She is Keisha King, homeschool mom of two daughters, founder of the Mass Exodus movement that aims to get children into better learning environments, host of the eponymous Keisha King Show, and again, she has the Parents' Guide to Stop Indoctrination workshop that you should check out. Keisha, where can people get more information about that and your Mass Exodus Movement project?
Yes, they go to massexodusmovement.com. It's the first link there. Sign up. We have a workshop coming up on the 15th, February 15th. So I'm excited about it.
Very good. Keisha King, thanks so much for joining us. Pleasure. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And she joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. A storm is on the horizon. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for storms and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000, 630-834-6000, or charlesequipment.com.
There are some times when the kids go to bed and we just stay in the night talking about how hard the life it is for us. It's very hard to see my kids go to bed with hunger and not having something to give to them.
You can step into the despair of a mother like Lourdes. For the past 40 years, Food for the Poor has linked generous listeners like you to desperate families throughout the Caribbean and Latin America. Today, your generous gift is an answer to a mother's prayer for her children's survival. Right now, because of a meal-for-meal match, a one-time gift of $160 or just $14 a month provides 4 hungry children with food for the next year. So, how many children can you rescue? Make your gift safely and easily by clicking the red Give Life banner at 560theanswer.com. Again, make your best gift by clicking the red Give Life banner at 560theanswer.com.
At Inspired Closets Chicago, there's no place they can't transform. Life is busy, and an organized space helps calm the chaos and bring order to your family's daily grind. Inspired Closets Chicago takes care of everything from start to finish. From your free in-home design consultation to developing your 3D design through installation, Inspired Closets Chicago makes it easy so you can enjoy the process. Learn more at inspiredclosetchicago.com or visit one of their showrooms for inspiration. Proud sponsor of Food for the Poor.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 8:38, we'll be joined by Joy Pullman, executive editor of The Federalist. She's got 20 questions to ask Republican candidates in your state, to the extent we have Republican candidates in Illinois. Anyway, Joy Pullman, 8:38. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
47 degrees, partly sunny skies in Chicago. The Supreme Court will hear a case today that could determine whether or not Donald Trump will be running for president. Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville spoke outside the High Court as justices prepared to hear arguments.
They're using legal theory that has never been used before. It goes way beyond the Constitution. It twists the words of our Constitution into something that has never been.
Trump's lawyers say January 6th was not an insurrection, and even if it was, the former president did not participate in it. 5 Marines that have been missing since a helicopter crash have been found dead. The Marines were headed to San Diego on a training flight from Creech Air Force Base near Las Vegas.
A remote area of the Cleveland National Forest. It's rugged terrain out here. There's lots of rocks. There's truck trails that go through the area, but the mud and the snow, can become treacherous to travel.
CAL FIRE Captain Mike Cornett. Delusional is what Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is calling Hamas terrorist response to a deal to pause fighting and free the remaining hostages held in Gaza. Secretary of State Antony Blinken admits there are clear non-starters in the Hamas response, but adds it opens room for a hostage deal.
We'll work at that relentlessly until we get there.
More than 100 hostages are still being held by Hamas terrorists. A woman accused of shoving her 3-year-old nephew into Lake Michigan near Navy Pier in 2022 is being deemed fit to stand trial. Victoria Moreno is charged in the murder of Josiah Brown. The child was in the water for 30 minutes before divers pulled him out. He died days later. A man died after a shooting and crash in the Irving Park neighborhood on the north side this morning. The 21-year-old victim was hit by gunfire in the back of the head. Chicago sports, Wild score a go-ahead goal in the third, and they beat the Blackhawks 2-1 last night. Bulls visit the Grizzlies at the FedEx Forum tonight, just before the NBA trade deadline. College hoops, Northwestern used a hot start to beat Nebraska 80-68 last night. Other college basketball, Loyola beat George Mason. Bradley lost to Evansville. UIC took down Illinois State. And Valparaiso was crushed by Indiana State, 101-61. The news a service of Lowe's. Shop deals on LG at Lowe's with up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, save an extra $75 on every $750 you spend on all major appliances. Valid through 2/28. Savings vary on purchase amount. Exclusions apply. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Do relationships today seem harder than ever? In the world of IT management and infrastructure, what if you had a business partner that thinks like you, is easy to work with, and just seems to get it? MS Consulting Services has been doing this for 25 years. But don't listen to us, listen to some actual customers.
This is Bruno. I work for a medical software company. Being in this field, trust is very important. MS Consulting has been my trusted partner for almost 20 years. They are experienced, dependable, and honest. They do not try to oversell. They truly want to help and are willing to go out of their way to prove it.
Hi, my name's Gary. MS Consulting Services was laser focused on understanding the needs of our business. It was a priority to them to understand the needs of our customers. They're not just helpful, they really are experts at what they do.
So if you want a relationship like this, call John at 1-800-MIT-0404. You'll be glad you did.
This is Albert Mohler for townhall.com. The big news over the last week is American military strikes undertaken against the proxies of Iran after the fatal attack upon an American military installation known as Tower 22 in Jordan. The deaths of those 3 American military personnel pushed America over a very important line. The Biden administration knew it had to act, and it finally did act, but it's acted in a way that is confusing. Iran has been doing its provocative work in recent months with deadly effect. They have been for a long time a malignant force in the Middle East. Iran wants to eliminate Israel from the face of the earth, and it refers to the United States as the Great Satan. Recent headlines have been applauding the Biden administration for their restraint up to this point. But let's face it, that kind of restraint is only effective as military action if it turns out to actually restrain evil. Right now, it looks like the restraint is more on one side than the other. I'm Albert Mohler.
Listen up. Do you or a family member or friend have an outstanding student loan and don't know where to turn or how much you're required to pay? The rules around student loan forgiveness have never been as complex as they are right now. The wrong decision could cost you and your family tens of thousands of dollars in unnecessary loan payments. Attorney Ray Kaplan at Kaplan Law Firm is here to help you make the right decision. And they recently saved a radio listener over $145,000. Kaplan Law knows the rules, knows the laws, knows the regulations, and loopholes inside out. Don't pay another cent until you've consulted with attorney Ray Kaplan. Call today to schedule a phone or in-person consultation. Call Kaplan Law Firm at 312-294-8989. That's 312-294-8989. Or visit financialrelief.com and click on Contact. Financialrelief.com, click on Contact. Kaplan Law Firm, 25 East Washington Street in Chicago.
8:38, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Outbound Eden, stop-and-go traffic. Foster up to Niles Center this morning, 60 minutes in on the Kennedy. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson in, you've got a big jam spot. Harlem to Kedzie, 53 in to DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan, right now it's a half hour, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Slow traffic on the Reagan I-88 eastbound right at Route 83. I-80 an accident, and parts of it are closed down eastbound between the Des Plaines River Bridge and Chicago Street. Illinois State Police say there are 2 crashes on the bridge right now, right next to each other. So, in fact, they are going to close I-80 on the eastbound side for accident cleanup there. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy with an afternoon shower possible or two, high 56. Cloudy with a rumble of thunder tonight, a low of 44. Currently, partly sunny and 47. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, Charles Thomas, former ABC7 political reporter and radio talk show host.
Good morning.
Well, Charles, we've got another attack in the greater New York City area, this in Long Island, that was captured on Ring video. And it really speaks to what we saw with the individuals responsible for attacking those New York City police officers and giving America the bird that the Trump campaign has already turned into a new spot. Something somewhat similar happened here. This is by a person in this country illegally, wandering around Long Island. And Kaylee McEnany narrates the Ring camera footage for us.
This video doorbell footage shows a migrant stealing a pro-Israel flag from a Jewish family's Long Island home. And one of the members of this family, by the way, lost a relative in the October 7th terrorist attack by Hamas. And there you see this individual taking that pro-Israel flag. That homeowner rushed to get his flag back, but the migrant immediately began punching him in the head. You see it there. Put him in a chokehold, headbutted him at least once. That's all according to the homeowner, and threw him to the ground. That migrant has been arrested and charged with a hate crime. Authorities say he's a Palestinian from North Africa. That's how he's self-described. And he got into the U.S. illegally from Mexico back in November. At one point, the attacker repeated anti-Semitic slurs and was caught flipping the bird to a camera. That's becoming somewhat of a trend among these criminals. It was just like the migrant accused of attacking two NYPD officers. What an image.
What an image. Maybe that's the indelible image that will frame this campaign. The choice between political leaders who welcome people into this country, that despise this country, that have no respect for the rule of law, that do not intend to do good, versus those who don't want to allow people with that disposition to enter this country illegally, or to have some sort of phony asylum claim pending that allows them to quasi-legally roam around places like Long Island.
This has evolved into the major issue at this point in the 2024 campaign. And, I wonder about, if I'm a consultant and I'm telling the Republican Party, let the Democrats and Joe Biden stew in their own juices for a while. I don't, do you want this resolved by some act of Congress so that Joe Biden can go on the campaign trail and say that, well, we got that taken care of? No.
As we saw from what the Senate cooked up, this isn't going to be resolved by an act of Congress, even if some Republicans and some Democrats agree on what they agreed on. That doesn't solve what was proposed by Langford and by McConnell by extension and Schumer. That doesn't solve this. So an act of Congress, you don't have the Congress to advance such an act. That's the reality.
And the nerve of this guy to try for something to be done about this 8 months before the election. I mean, come on.
Right.
After 7
So you can declare victory, take it off the table, and hope people stop paying attention.
It's got to be on the table, man. This election is way too important for this. And I really have no confidence in the attention span of the American voter. Sorry about to say it, but I don't. And if you would somehow, quote unquote, resolve the issue now, and it's not an issue by summer, oh man.
I think it's sort of a fait accompli at this point, just because there are so many people that have been allowed to enter the country and move about freely, many of whom don't intend to do this country or its citizens or its other residents any good. And so you're going to have more stories like those coming out of New York and Chicago and elsewhere. And it's not going to go away because it won't go away when you don't distinguish between people that are inclined to be law-abiding, as evidenced by following the law to enter this country, from those who are proxies for the cartels or major gang operations in foreign countries like MS-13 or Tren de Aragua. Then these stories are not going to stop. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Joy Pullman, executive editor of The Federalist, Federalist.com. Joy, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good to talk with you again.
Good morning.
So you've put together a little questionnaire, a little cheat sheet for voters, helping them with that attention span issue that Charles was talking about. 20 questions to ask Republican candidates in your state. After reading the piece, I think you can sort of categorize them. I mean, it's largely really. Are you a proponent of identity politics, or are you a proponent of equal justice under the law? I mean, that covers a lot of those questions, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that is one of perhaps the major issue that is provoking a constitutional crisis right now across the United States. And as you point out, it applies to so many different policy domains, from immigration, like you folks were just talking about here. The idea of having no border is predicated on the fact that there is no such thing as a national identity and that there is no such thing as the rule of law, and that we have to let identity politics as defined by anybody who isn't white get special privileges over, people who are native born, regardless of what they look like. That's the application of identity politics to the border right there, and it is the end of the rule of law. And then, you can, like you said, you can apply that. Of course, everyone's aware of the identity politics, the Marxism affecting education. Those are largely the institutions that have accelerated, the decline of American institutions in law. So asking, so you're right. It's a really good litmus test to kind of ascertain whether your politician will be swayed by basically the shaming of people, whether they're still afraid of false charges of racism or hating women or any other kind of, victim group, or whether they say, no, we should apply, the law and our customs and our policies equally to all people, no matter what they look like. And, there's absolute differences between people's sexual behavior, the race that they're born with, and the fact that the sexes do have differences that do matter for both law and things like, should men be in women's dressing rooms. So the real question is here whether candidates support the rule of law as reflecting reality and outside authority to all of us that we respect, or whether they ultimately believe that there is no authority but them, and that leads to the chaos that we see in every domain of American life today.
Yeah, and it's something too that needs to be followed up with. And you're not going to fall prey to it. So you're going to be a relentless messenger against the poison that is identity politics. So because, for example, you see this all the time in the Republican Party. Nikki Haley has been a good example on the campaign trail of late, which is, right. She's an opponent of wokeism. She's an opponent of identity politics and so on and so forth.
Allegedly.
But then, yeah, well, right. But I mean, that's the sort of official position she takes. But then she's out doing the, as a brown girl in South Carolina routine, and this and as a woman, and yes, she can, and speaking in the parlance of Hillary Clinton. So you can't really be a honest broker on the issue if you're saying one thing and doing another.
That's absolutely right. So she's willing to use identity politics when she thinks it will advantage her. And she's speaking to voters, right? She wants to attract voters who, go on the identity politics anti-Constitution model, right? Well, while we need to have at least one party in this country, I mean, I wish it was all parties, right? And it used to be, who accepted the fact that there are supreme laws. There's, a national contracts and covenants that we bind ourselves to, and that we reflect them as our supreme law and governance of our life. But we don't have that anymore. But we need at least one party who says, look, the Constitution, the 14th Amendment, as well as the other provisions they apply the law equally to all people regardless of station. They don't preference, for example, the rich against the poor. And we have lots of systems in this country. I think that is the real divide, that our country is becoming an oligarchy that's preferencing, the wealthy and the people who basically use not honest, means of getting money, not work, offering, something better to people that they freely can choose on an open market, but rather coercing people, manipulating them, locking them into monopolies and so forth. That's the real divide in our country, and they're using identity politics to basically distract everybody from the fact that no matter what people look like, they use money as a weapon to steal our rights.
There's this Gallup polling out recently. There's a couple of different polls out recently. One shows Biden seeing significant attrition in Black and Latino voters, down 20 points among Black voters as compared to his run in 2020, which is interesting. And then there was another poll about young people and how the divide between men and women is growing wider in Generation Z, and we already know it's wide. I mean, basically, the base of the Democrat Party, it's often talked about minorities, and it is, but it was missing something bigger. It's really single women. Single women is the demographic that the Democrats dominate, and it provides, it provides their base of support, and it informs their policy choices because, of course, it cuts across demographics. And so I just wonder, like, the Republican Party is always thinking about identity politics, messaging based on how do we attract more Latinos? How do we attract more Blacks? How do we attract more Asians of particular ethnicities? But what about this larger men, women, and married women, single women conversation? I think a lot of Republicans are uncomfortable having that discussion about family.
I mean, Republicans seem to be uncomfortable having almost any discussion openly. That's another problem with the identity politics, right? It boxes them into talking about nothing, right? And then that's completely unattractive to voters. We have to be having these tough conversations about race, about, the sexes, about marriage, about family, because those are fundamentally at root of what is the division in this country, as you point out. And so, you're right. That I absolutely think that Republicans and conservatives should be making efforts to reach out to people who traditionally they have discounted. Because as Trump showed in 2016, absolutely there is a lot of, those people haven't been reached out to and they frankly haven't, gotten messages from conservatives for so long. So that what that does is leaves things on the table, right? If they haven't heard your message, you don't know at least some people might be susceptible to listening to it. So I think absolutely outreach, to different ethnic, racial groups, and as well as single women, all these groups should be absolutely happening because, the corporate media, the internet is so locked down with censorship to prevent these discussions that many times people haven't heard those messages and they would be persuaded by them. So that work needs to be done absolutely. But talking about the single ladies issue, you're right. I've written about some of this, and I think it's very interesting that, what makes women unhappy is what gives Democrats political power. So they have a vested interest in making women unhappy. And I'm, speaking as a woman, a wife, as a mother, before I got married and had kids, kind of surprisingly, I didn't know how fulfilling and delightful that it would be. But, but it is absolutely true, and this is borne out by all kinds of social science, that women are happy when they are married and they have children. Their happiness rates just are unparalleled by any other kind of arrangement in a woman's life. So if you take that away from women, by messaging to them that they need to act like men, that their value is found in, being a boss lady in the workplace, and basically sacrificing the worth that women offer in our communities, in our relationships, of doing that work, of building human hearts, of nurturing children. And absolutely, if you take away, the understanding in schools and culture about how much women as women offer to our society by doing what we're so good at with relationships and families, then what you're doing is, you're basically exploiting women, keeping them unhappy, childless, alone in their old age, and making them unhappy on purpose so that you can weaponize them for votes. So I think that's despicable. And, again, that's another area where, right now I know it's touchy to talk about what people do with their lives and their career and their kid choices, right? But we have to be talking about that because I frankly I want, more women to be happy in their lives regardless of how it affects their vote, because I care about them because they're fellow Americans. So we have to be having these conversations, and it's kind of sad that the only people who will talk about it is conservatives, because again, we are, what's less important to us than the vote is the happiness of our fellow Americans and the peace that we have and the homes that we have and the stability in our society. And so that conversation has to be brought to the fore, and it's often impeded by ideology that, again, gives Democrats power, such as the version of feminism that says women are only valuable if they act like men.
Joy Pullman, executive editor of The Federalist, Federalist.com. Joy, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And she joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Urgent Camp Lejeune settlement message. On September 6th, the government announced it will soon begin providing fast, guaranteed settlements to Camp Lejeune Marines, families, and civilians. Awards will range between $100,000 and $550,000, with an option for higher amounts. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and suffered cancers of the bladder, liver, or kidneys, leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Parkinson's, or kidney issues, you may qualify for compensation and could be paid within 60 days after accepting your settlement, with your VA benefits fully protected. You may be entitled to a significant financial award for your Camp Lejeune claim, but you must act now. Call the James Harris Law Camp Lejeune helpline now to get the compensation you deserve. We're already fighting for thousands harmed by the water at Camp Lejeune. Call now or you may forever lose your right to be awarded a settlement between $100,000 and $550,000. For your free evaluation, call 800-299-7878. That's 800-299-7878. 800-299-7878.
Are you tired of being told to hang in there on the Wall Street roller coaster because the market always comes back? Meanwhile, fees continue to be deducted from your account while your retirement withers away? Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, best-selling author and star in a brand new Hollywood documentary called The Retirement Deception. In the film, you'll see how Wall Street's traditional retirement plans and 401ks have failed Americans. But more importantly, you'll discover the solution to protecting your hard-earned wealth and retiring successfully. You'll see how to grow money potentially double digits, beat inflation with increasing income, and when the next market crash hits, you lose nothing. So if you're over 50 and want a bigger, better, stress-free retirement, call to talk to a specialist and get a free copy of this brand new movie, The Retirement Deception. Call 800-578-3535. This is a $30 value, but when you call today, you get it completely free. Plus, I'll even cover shipping and handling, no credit card required. So don't delay, call right now. 800-578-3535. 800-578-3535. 800-578-3535.
Sick and tired of achy joints? Dread the idea of surgery? Well, you need to call QC Kinetics. Hi, it's Amy Jacobson. Listen, the state of healthcare is always changing. The old ideas like steroids, cortisone shots, surgery are no longer your only options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative, non-surgical, drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain from arthritis or injury? Well, don't let this pain keep you from living your best. QC Kinetics' advanced state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. Make 2024 the year you reclaim your mobility and independence. Walk and run, play and live. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. New locations, folks, in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Lots of channels, nothing to watch, especially if you're looking outside of big corporate control. It's time to interrupt your regularly scheduled programs with something worth watching. The new Salem News Channel. Straightforward, unfiltered, in-depth insight and analysis from the greatest collection of conservative minds, all in one place. SNC is home to Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Watch anytime on any screen. Free 24/7. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, that's a wrap. Charles Thomas, former ABC7 political reporter, thank you so much for sitting in.
Already looking forward to tomorrow.
Me too. We're going to have more fun tomorrow, tackle a lot of topics, showing off our range. Charles is back tomorrow, and now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
A Cook County judge rejects a bid to delay Donald Trump's candidacy in Illinois. Man charged in a shooting outside of an AutoZone store in Dalton. Woman accused of shoving her nephew into Lake Michigan has been found fit. to stand trial